That's annoying. Boom. All right. I had a little bit of free time. Thought I'd say hi to you guys. That's annoying. Oh, got it. Nope. Boom. Gonna wait for you guys to come in and chat. I don't think I have much to say. I think I'm just gonna hear you guys out today. Eh? How does that sound? Let's hear what you guys have to say. Let's hear you guys out. How was your Saturday? How was your Black History Month? Shalom, Jam Jam. Are you Jewish? You say shalom, which I believe means peace in Hebrew or Yiddish. Are you Jewish? I've never met a Jewish Nigerian. Ah, then why do you say shalom? Shalom is Hebrew, is it not? Or is it Yiddish? It's Hebrew, right? Does it not mean peace in Hebrew? It means greetings. Peace is a greeting. Oh, it is a greeting. You're right. It's a Jewish greeting at meeting or parting. But what is the actual meaning of shalom? Shalom definition in Hebrew, meaning peace, harmony, wholeness, completeness, prosperity, and welfare. Shalom. Shalom to you too. I mean, it's kind of like assalamu alaikum, assalamu alaikum, or peace. It's a greeting. Well, I learned something today. Hey, we don't move in fear. How's it going? Hey, killing time with Simone. You're new here. I haven't seen you before. How are you? Killing time with Simone said my name. I'm always weirded out when people say my name. But I do say my name in my videos, so if anyone is paying attention, then they would know my name. Which, by the way, Kevin is not my full name. It's only part of my first name. I have how do you say, like a composed name? I have two first names, anyways. Um, it's better than saying good morning, afternoon, and evening. Well, it is a better, it is a very kind wish on people to say shalom or salam, salam alaikum, or peace be unto you. It is much better. Hey, Will Kennedy from South Carolina. How's it going? Simone tells me not to be freaked out. I love your content. I was just watching one of your videos. I love your content. I mean, not your content in particular. I watched like maybe 5 minutes of the last video you posted, but I love true crime, which is what you do. So my favorite channel on YouTube is That Chapter, and your channel reminds me of That Chapter. So I'm more than likely going to. I'm just gonna subscribe real quick. There we go. I'm going to watch some of your videos in the future. I very much enjoy true crime, not because I like to see, grueling stuff and, crime, just because I enjoy the whole psychology behind, well, not enjoy, but I enjoy analyzing the whole psychology behind people who commit acts of violence you can always trace it back. You can always trace back some of their behaviors to narcissism or some of the behaviors of their parents, close ones, the um, blame shifting, the lack of accountability, things of that nature. My baby didn't do nothing, right? Um, hey, lead follower from Illinois, how's it going? Hey, Harriet, how's it going? How are you? Harriet Boateng. Advice on starting on YouTube. I want to share my story from spiritual perspective. I have a lot of advice. My first advice would be do it. Do it. Right? My second advice would be to download CapCut on your computer, the software CapCut, and you'll be able to cut, like edit your videos because you don't want like a lot of spaces between the things you're saying, or you don't want to necessarily not sound professional. You want to be able to like do it as a full one take and cut out any and any onomatopoeias. Onomatopoeias, that's a funny word. In French it's onomatope. Onomatopoeias, where you're just like or like, if you're like me and you say like a lot, I would just say, in order to sound more professional, you want to cut these things out with CapCut, and it's very easy. Actually, CapCut is a very easy program to use. I would say play around with it. Edit like a short little video, and practice makes perfect. Practice makes perfect. And the other advice I would give you is, if you want to share your story on YouTube, would be to somebody said something that really in the chat. Somebody said something that really stroked my ego. Thank you, Andrea. How are you? How are you? Uh, Sorry. You got me flustered. My wife will kick your ass. Um, so I would say write things down. Write it down. Like, just do like a whole everything you want to say. Put it down on paper and prepare it before you record it. But definitely, the best advice I can give you is do it and try to sound as coherent as possible. Uh, Lead follower says, "I'm surviving. How are you?" I'm also surviving. I was just watching this video. I came online because I was watching this video of Dr. Emmanuel Pastryk, who is a politician with the Green Party. The only time I've ever voted, I voted for the Green Party, but I don't know who Emmanuel Pastryk is. Professor Emmanuel Pastryk, who is a director, polyglot, and an international relations expert. I'm reading his Google page right now. He's in Nashville, Tennessee. Serves as president of the Asia Institute and think tank with offices in Washington, D.C., Tokyo, Seoul, Hanoi. I don't know where Hanoi is, sorry. Pastryk was briefly an independent candidate for president of the United States 2020. Well, I just learned that. Well, yeah, Green Party. And he's now part of the Green Party of the United States. And I just saw a video on somebody that I follow, some guy, some targeted individual that I follow on my personal Instagram had posted a video of him where he was explaining the targeted individuals program, and he was saying that everybody seems to ignore the targeted individuals program whenever you go to a lawyer, whenever you try to get some help of any kind. People are then sent letters by, pick an organization: DHS, NSA, FBI, CIA, whatever. They're sent letters to basically instruct them to not help you, not assist you. Your family are also sent letters to not assist you, not help you, if they're not turned against you, that is. In my case, a lot of my family members have been turned against me. And for the rest, I, I don't think they were contacted at all. I just think that I just know that there are certain family members of mine who have been turned against me, and I know how they were turned against me. It was, I wouldn't say it was my fault, but it was something I did. I gossiped about them, and I'm being spied on, so it was brought to them, and they didn't take it well, and now they're mad at me to the point where I don't know if they realize they're basically participating in destroying my life, or if they're just like, screw you, screw your life too, you know? I don't know. I mean, personally, I would never go to that extent, no matter what my family would have done to me or would have said to me. So I'm thinking maybe they were also lied to as far as the information they were given. There's probably some lies in there sprinkled, or maybe not. Maybe they just um, they don't forgive me and they want revenge for me gossiping about them. I mean, I say gossiping, but really it's just I was talking to someone about them. I wasn't trying to get people to like hate them or go against them. Like I wasn't conspiring against them. I was just talking about, like, for example, I had an experience with one of my cousins that I thought was really strange, and I was just talking to another one of my cousins about it, and I guess that was reported back to her, and now she hates me, and it is what it is. I shouldn't have done it anyways, right? I don't see it as my fault in any way. Uh, However, I do take accountability for what I did, which was gossip, and I shouldn't have. It's gossiping is wrong. Hi from from where? Andrea Turner. You're very calm about all your targeting. I get inspired when I feel like I'm going to react. You know how we are not allowed to be human. God forbid we have a very appropriate reaction to their abuse. I want you to know that hmm, the reason why I'm calm about it is because I wasn't. For a long time, I wasn't. And this has been happening to me for 20 years. I'm entering my 20th year of being gang stalked, and my second year of knowing what gang stalking is. So understand that 10, maybe more than 10 years ago, a little bit more than 10 years ago, I knew I was being gang stalked. I was telling people that I was being gang stalked. I wasn't using the word gang stalking. I was using the word hacking. I'm being hacked. I'm being harassed, and people are being instructed to turn against me. I'm dealing with workplace mobbing, things of that nature. I was telling people about it, but it is such a foreign concept to people that they would just tell me, like, you need to consult, you need to see a psychiatrist and things of that nature. And after quitting a bunch of jobs, I decided, well, because of the workplace harassment, I decided, hey, I need to do something. So I went to a mental institute where the abuse continued over there, which was shocking to me. I was like, how is this pot? Because I know it's not me. I know I'm not crazy, you know. Um, but the abuse continued at the mental institute, and it really ramped up over there, which was shocking to me. But now that I'm aware of MK Ultra, and especially MK Ultra, but COINTELPRO, of Zersetsun, but specifically of, sorry about that, specifically of um, MK Ultra. Now that I'm aware of the whole operation MK Ultra, I'm no longer shocked at the fact that the mental institute I went to was in on it. But the reason why I'm calm is because I had my time to be in a panic, offline with family members and things of that nature. Those who are not participating in it. I had a long time to come to terms with what is happening to me, because I had sort of denied, or I was in denial about it for a long time. I chose to be in denial about it because it's such a wild thing to happen to someone, and I just thought as myself as not important enough for this kind of effort to be put into torturing, until of course I learned about MK Ultra, and I'm like, oh well, what they did to prisoners in Guantanamo Bay, MK Ultra, and mental patients in a mental institute in my city under MK Ultra as well, under Dr. Ewan Cameron. These people were also nobodies, and they were put, they were given LSD, they were electrocuted, things of that nature. So the reason why I'm so calm, I'm sorry, I'm rambling. The reason why I'm so calm about everything that's happening to me is because I no longer have any doubts of, is this true? Am I crazy? Is this only happening to me? I'm fully aware that, oh, this world is evil. Okay. I had enough time to sort of accept it, and I have enough validation. I've received enough validation, and I still seek validation for my own reality. But what was more upsetting was not the actual reality of being gang stalked, which is upsetting, by the way. It's very upsetting. The upsetting thing is when you talk to people and they deny what you're going through. They basically tell you like you've lost it, you're crazy, and things of that nature. That was really more upsetting. It's sort of like being a victim of abuse and then talking to people and then they victim blame you, or they tell you like that didn't happen. They just sort of invalidate your experience. It's almost it almost hurts more than the actual experience. And nowadays, when somebody denies what I went through or calls me crazy, says things of that nature, I'm just like, we're not talking anymore. you know, like I don't need anyone to validate my reality. I've had long enough time to panic to be able to step out of it and be like, all right, radical acceptance. And I think that my experience with learning about narcissistic abuse, which was many years, like at least 5 years of learning about narcissistic abuse and narcissistic personality disorder, helped me understand, or helped me understand and accept my situation with gang stalking much faster, because I knew that narcissistic abuse was something that is real, and gang stalking is just narcissistic abuse. That's all it is. It's just narcissistic abuse being operated in an organized fashion through spy network and all of that, right? But once you accept narcissistic personality disorder as a reality, and you know about narcissistic abuse and you went through it, and you can get out of this idea of, how is this possible? How could people be so evil? Why me? Things like that, right? And you have answers to these questions. It's very easy to go, okay, this is happening. However, most of the damage is done to me through narcissistic abuse, and this is very important, pay attention. Most of the damage is done to me or to you through narcissistic abuse, whether it be in a relationship or through gang stalking. Most of the damages will come from your own behavior. For example, if you have a narcissist that is provoking you, poking you, goading you, and you react with anger, with fury, with impatience, with unkindness, you know, your reaction will be used against you to dirty your name. Your reaction will be used against you to carry on, to create a snowball effect, to make whatever it was that they were trying to pin on you, to make it much bigger and much more believable, and then recruit other people into it. So I'm able to be so calm about this because I have an understanding of it that runs much deeper than just my personal experience with gang stalking. I understand narcissism itself, period. I understand narcissism to a point where the person that I was before I learned about narcissism doesn't even exist anymore. I don't remember who that person is. The person I am today is someone that is unable to be in the presence of narcissistic behavior and not see it. I can't unsee it. It's um it's a gift and a curse. Anyways, hopefully you'll get there one day as well. It sucks. It's a gift and a curse. Did you know anyone who suffered soul fragmentation along narcissistic abuse? I suffered severe memory loss, which affect my employability. I also experienced a lot of missing time. I will say that my memory has been affected a lot through narcissistic abuse because your reality is constantly being reinvented, creating this sort of butterfly effect. I don't know anything about soul fragmentation. I can say that gaslighting causes brain damage, and obviously, direct energy weapons cause brain damage as well. So, where is it coming from? I don't know. But I do have a pretty bad memory, and I didn't used to. It is what it is. If gossiping about someone ruined a relationship, it wasn't solid to begin with. I know my family has gossiped about me, and I still wouldn't do this to them. Yeah, I mean, thank you for your comment Tuesday. I think it depends. I think it depends what is being said about family. For example, I have an uncle who was accused of. Now, I don't think he's guilty. All right, let's begin with this. I don't think he's guilty, but he was accused of um, Michael Jackson like crimes or Michael Jackson like accusations, and I gossiped about that. And I don't believe he's guilty, but I had seen some things that made me doubt, like, could it be possible? And also the person who actually accused him of doing this, I didn't know who it was. And once I found out who it was, I was like, oh, this girl is lying. This person is telling a complete lie for sure. I know this person, but I didn't know who it was that had accused him. I thought the child had accused him, but it turned out to be um, an adult that accused them. And had I known who it was, I wouldn't have gossiped about him. But this is one of the gossips that I participated in, right? And of course, they don't see it as the person that I gossiped about, who's a family member, doesn't see it as, well, I was being accused of something crazy. It's only normal that people would gossip about me. They see it as, I've known you since you were a baby. Remember? So, if people who are paying attention to the things I say will understand who I'm talking about. But when he said, I've known you since you were a baby, what he was basically saying to me was, don't you know me? You know I wouldn't do this, which is the truth. I don't think he did it. But I was reminding myself of some events that I had seen that was like, well, could that be like a sign that this happened? I think it might be, because who would accuse, because at the same time, it's like, who would accuse someone of doing something so horrible, and getting them in so much trouble? And then I learned who accused them, and I was like, oh, this person is lying for sure, And another person that I gossiped about in my family, a cousin of mine, was in a music video on YouTube naked. And I gossiped about that because I thought it was a poor decision. And let's just say she did not appreciate that, and she decided to participate in my abuse. So it wasn't what I'm saying here is, it wasn't small things that I gossiped about. It was not small things. Now, it wasn't anything that was untrue or that was completely fabricated in their cases, right? But it wasn't untrue. And most of the gossip I participated in, for the most part, nothing was just fabricated out of pure, thin air, right? It's either something that definitely happened, that they definitely did, and I spoke about it, and they don't like that I spoke about it, or it's something that they were accused of, and I spoke about it, and they didn't appreciate it. So, you know, it is what it is. Gossiping is wrong. I take accountability for my actions. I don't shy away from taking accountability for my actions. I have changed my behavior. I have allowed this experience to make me a better person and no longer participate in this kind of low vibration behavior. because one, it's hurtful to the person that you're gossiping about, and two, because it's not good for your soul. It makes you feel bad anyways, to gossip about people. But I do believe that you are right. If my family had gossiped about me, maybe, maybe I would stop talking to them. Maybe I think I would go to them and actually talk to them. But maybe I would stop talking to them. I would never participate in the gang stalking of one of my family members. Never. Impossible. So this is also one of the reasons why I don't have a very hard time with the experience, is because I know no matter what you're judging me for, no matter what you've seen me do or heard me say, it doesn't matter. You heard it through me being illegally surveillanced, and you think you have the moral high ground. And it doesn't matter that to me that you think you have the moral high ground, because you don't. I hope that makes sense. Sorry, I got the spelling of archons wrong. The last time I asked you to look it up, I recently compared it. A research archons and a devil would found blew my mind. Man, I might have to look up archons. I don't know what an archon is. What is an archon? Oh, you're talking about spirituality. I'm sorry. Aside from Christianity, I'm not. I don't know about any other. I can't speak on it. I don't know enough about other religions or beliefs to speak on them. And if archons are part of Christianity, I just don't know about it. I have to pray to not resent people who don't believe this evil and worse exists. I wouldn't believe it either. Yeah, yeah, that's a good way to. It's a good way to operate from, and I think that what really upset me, like I said, was when people didn't believe me, but then I put myself in their shoes because I was in their shoes. My twin brother called me and told me I'm being followed. And I was like, when he said that, I just thought to myself, like, this is the same guy who told me that he was hearing voices like a few months back or a few years back. So immediately I'm like, you're not being followed. And he's like, no, I'm telling you, I'm being followed. And I called an Uber, and the same guy that was following me was my Uber driver. And I'm just like, buddy, that's not happening. You need to go see someone. And of course, now that I tell him that I'm being followed, and our little brother's car got um, um, was set on fire, and I'm telling him about my experience, he's telling me I need to consult. So um, it's very funny when one targeted individual tells another targeted individual that gang stalking is not real. So even though he is being gang stalked, he doesn't actually believe he's being gang stalked. I don't know what he believes in, because he refuses he refuses to speak on it too much, and I refuse to pull the hairs out of his nose, is the expression in French, tirer les vers du nez, or pull the worms out of his nose. Force him to speak, force him to talk about it, because of how unpleasant he is. When you force him to talk about something, he's unpleasant, he's condescending, and I'm just like, you know what? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Maybe one day you'll actually believe in gang stalking. Maybe you won't. Who cares? Because, and this gets me to the point again, I'm sorry, I do ramble. This gets me to the point, because even if they do believe, even if anyone believes, if my brother believes, if anybody in your life believes you, what are they going to do now? Nothing? It seems like a very small thing to get upset about. And if what upsets you is the fact that people around you don't believe you, then what is left to do is to speak to people who do believe you. And here we are, all 25 of us in the chat. Not one of us doesn't believe the others, right? So do you get mobbed when you're driving? I wouldn't know. I don't drive. I drive so rarely that it's happened to me once, and they used directed energy weapons on me while I was driving. but it's only happened once. And it used to happen. I used to get followed, but that was maybe like 15 years ago. Um, but recently, I haven't been mobbed while driving. Glad to connect with Sir. How are you doing? I'm good. KDP writer. How are you? It's hard to forgive people that won't let you prove it's happening with real proof. Extremely frustrating. It is hard. Yes, you're correct. It is hard. It's hard to not take it personal when people are just like, I don't want to hear it. Like, wait, you don't want to hear about my suffering? You don't want to hear about the government doing torture experiences on me? You don't want to hear it? Is it like, am I an inconvenience to your, is my suffering, is my torture an inconvenience to your day? And you just want to be like, well, you know what, never talk, and that's not the way to go, obviously. Because these people oftentimes they really do care about you. It's just that this concept is way too hard to grasp for them, and also accepting gang stalking as a reality is dangerous to their subconscious. It's basically telling their subconscious, you're not safe. This, whatever is happening to this person could happen to you at any moment. And as a matter of fact, if you start believing in it, it's more likely to happen to you, is what their subconscious is telling them. Now, obviously, it doesn't matter whether you believe in, the boogeyman or not. If the boogeyman is hiding in your, under your bed, it's gonna get you. But yeah, it's just, you can't take it personal. I mean, you can if you want to, but you shouldn't take it personal, because it's not personal. The information you're trying to give them feels too dangerous for them to accept, and it feels too unbelievable for them to believe. So oftentimes they'll fight you to get you to stop talking about it and leave them alone about it, not because you're upsetting them with your story and they're like, you're being selfish, leave me alone, stop talking to me about this stuff. It's just their subconscious is telling them, fight this. This is dangerous information. And they can't tell you that because they're not connected to their subconscious. You just gotta forgive, for they know not what they do. Gang stalking is not about material, it's about the mind, you primary component. It's about both. Kevin, please do not acknowledge those people stroking your ego. I find it disrespectful and they can be weapons formed against you. Remember to protect yourself. Yeah, I'm fully aware. I'm fully aware. I don't want you to like think that I'm like allowing anyone to, I guess, bring down my boundaries, right? Like that's not happening. Where are you from? Where are you from? You're doing a great job. Thank you. Thank you very much. There's definitely a spiritual component. I suffered memory loss, missing time, derealization, depersonalization. I felt like demons were trying to push me out of my body. Yeah, dealing with narcissism is it's basically dancing with the devil. We say, people say, like, we don't mess with demons, but the truth is, they're all around us. They're all around us at all times. And for a lot of us, it's our family members, it's our exes, ex-girlfriends, ex-boyfriends, ex-husband, ex-wife. For some of us, it's our children, our parents. They're among us. Whoever sort of has an empty soul is leaving space for evil spirits to enter. And I mean, I don't want to talk too much about the spiritual. I just want to say that for me, it was very hard to accept that evil exists, that evil is a real thing. There are evil people. Yeah. I feel the same. I'm done trying to ask support. Everyone has turned their back, and the one support left is being used to report my intentions to them. Yeah. It's hard to trust people. That's why I'm so grateful for this channel that I started. I'm grateful for you guys being here. I'm grateful for the support because we're able to talk to each other, and I try to keep things as positive as possible. I don't want you to think that I don't have like days where I'm just like, screw everything, and I feel that way. I do, but I think it's important to not fall into this sort of woe is me type of attitude when talking amongst ourselves. The goal is to uplift each other. We are a great asset to each other. We are of great help to each other. And we're already feeling down enough, and of course, we're bonding with sort of trauma bonding, but it's also very important to give each other messages of hope, because even if, and this is a big if, even if this is never resolved, and I don't want you to think that way, right? But even if this is never resolved and we suffer forever until we pass away, which is unlikely, to be honest, but even if that was the case, how is um, moping around helping in that situation? It's just not. So it's much better to stay positive, even if nothing good ever happens. Which again, I'm telling you, I don't think that's what's going to happen. But even if that was the case, moping around is not doing anything positive, and it's not going to bring any positive results. So I think I think that if you don't have support within your immediate circle, the way that I do with my wife personally, I think that you should definitely view this community and the community online as a great tool to be able to speak your mind and share your experiences and share messages of hope and manifest, if you will. I don't like that expression, manifest, but I'm just saying nothing positive will come from negative thoughts and negative mindsets. And even if nothing positive comes from your positive mindset or a positive attitude, only negative and only negative can come from negative mindsets and negative attitudes. So it's best to have a positive mindset anyways, you know. Anyways, good morning, Gigi. What's up, H Town? I do not suffer fools gladly. Yeah, I do not suffer fools. Yeah, it's just pointless. It's just pointless. You know, within this experience, you really have to protect your energy, protect your heart, protect your space. You can't allow any of anything negative. You cannot allow it to take over. You can't afford it. You can't afford it. Literally, spiritually, you cannot afford to. So I believe you being targeted and gang stalked is definitely spiritual and demonic attack. Please remember to stay strong mentally and don't let it get to you. Yeah, don't let it get to you, Harriet. Are you getting hit since the last time? You mean me with directed energy weapons? I think so. I think so. I can't say for sure. I've been having some symptoms that I don't know where they're coming from or what's happening, but they're pretty serious. Um, we'll see. MJ is innocent. MJ is innocent. By all means, Michael Jackson was 100% innocent. 100%. I just saw a video of Charlemagne and Andrew Schultz on their podcast, the Flagrant podcast, something like that. And Charlemagne was saying that apparently there's rumors that Michael Jackson was coming out with a song about Palestine. Like, I think it was Palestine Don't Cry, something like that. He was coming out with a song, but the song was never recorded. There was only lyrics to the song, and somebody bought them at an auction like 10 years ago or something like that. And he never put out the song, but he was working on it in 93. And when his managers find out and things of that nature, that's when his trouble started. And Charlemagne was saying, no, 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 no. He had allegations on him long before, he was working on that song about Palestine. And then they Googled it and they said, the song was written in 93. He was working on it in 93. And then they go, okay, well, look up when the first allegations came out, and it was in 93. So I'm I'm not saying anything, but that's what they do. It's the same thing with Dave Chappelle. His contract stated that he had a cap on what he could make, and of course, they didn't expect his show, Chappelle's show, to be such a hit. So they wanted to give him 50 mil, which seems like a lot. Like, why would someone spit on 50 mil and abruptly end their show and just leave? But you would only understand that if you knew how much he made for them, and for them to then give him 50 mil, and he felt like this was not enough. But he had a cap in his contract. But what he was saying was, I understand that I had a cap in my contract. When you asked me to sign the contract, I was poor. I had, my firstborn had just been born. I didn't know how I was going to feed him. So I signed anything you would offer me. And now I'm such a big hit, with my show, and you want to cap me at 50 mil, though I'm deserving of much more because I've made you billionaires, right? And he was saying, yes, I signed the contract, but is it right? And they were like, no, you signed the contract. And he was like, yeah, but is it right? And they couldn't find common ground. And basically, Dave Chappelle, what Cat Williams said, I don't know how true this is, but Cat Williams, it's 50-50 when he talks, right? When it comes to truth. But what Cat Williams says is that when Dave Chappelle asked them, what do you think my fans will say when I tell them what you're doing to me, which is shorting me on all that I'm making, all the money that I'm making for you. Speaking of Comedy Central here. And Cat Williams said that the people he signed the contracts with told him, by the time you get home, everybody will think that you're a bass head. That and the rumors came out, and then Dave Chappelle left for Africa, and and then of course Netflix bought his show. He contacted Netflix, let them know like, hey, I don't appreciate that. They didn't pay me for that show. They still owe me, and you bought it, and now you're making money off of my work that I was not paid for. And Netflix was kind enough to not only pay him, but then offer him more money to do more stand-up on their platform, which is a great thing. But the point I'm making is that Michael Jackson is innocent. I ramble. I'm sorry. It's torture when they trap your mind. Yep. It's not gossip it's calling people out. No. I'm not accepting that. What I participated in was gossip. Just because they did certain things. Just because they did certain things that I don't necessarily approve of doesn't mean I get to call somebody and tell them, yo, look what she did, and call another one and, yo, look what she did, right? That's gossip. That is gossip, and it is wrong. It doesn't justify what they're doing to me at all. Not at all. But what I did was wrong, and I own that. What you telling her business? Well, yeah. I basically was telling her business. Now, it was public. It was public. I was basically telling my opinion on it, but what I did was gossip. It does constitute gossip, which is wrong, which I wouldn't appreciate if they did it about me. I would not appreciate it at all. I just know for a fact I would not participate in gang stalking them. That wouldn't happen. My choices would be, I stop talking to you now, or I would come to you and be like, why'd you say that? Why be so mean? And then they would probably apologize, and I would accept their apology. And make no mistakes, I apologize to them. To everybody that I gossiped about, I apologize to them. And most of them are just pretending like, Oh, it's cool. Don't worry about it. It's all good. And, meanwhile, they're doing directed conversation with me and all kinds of stuff to like mess with me and whatever. They're going to hell. I don't care. The most important thing is to unplug yourself. Unplug yourself from what? Gem, please elaborate. Jesus is the only way. He saved me. I started with Psalm 51. Jesus is the only way. I like Psalm 91, 93, 91, 93. That's the only way out of this mess. Anyone who curses their father or mother is to be put. Okay. In New Testament, Jesus and echoed us. They should obey his master as he is his property. I don't know why you're saying that. Let's get weird TV. Let's get weird TV. Let's figure out what your page is. I have a bunch of weirdos that pull up to my page to write weird stuff. I want to see who you are. You don't have anything. You don't have much on here. Okay. Hey, C-Stay, how's it going, man? I'm glad I can help you get your focus off of the perps. Everyone I've spoken to about it believes me, but they're also participating in it. Yeah, my uncle, he was telling me that he believes me. And then I was like, yeah, but why are you participating in it? And he was like, I'm not. And I was like, all right, blocked. Normally, they're the first ones to deny it. To be honest, it's hard to explain to people about such things when they totally don't understand what's the effect they cause. Yeah, I stopped explaining it. It's just at a certain point, and I'm sure you guys will get there eventually. But it's just at a certain point you realize that it doesn't matter. Like for example, I just saw this video of Emmanuel Pastrike, Dr. Emmanuel Pastrike, Professor Emmanuel Pastrike, who was a candidate for the Green Party for presidency, and he was talking about the targeted individuals program, and he was eloquent. He's a professor, right? He was eloquent. He was explaining it very clearly. He was explaining, I mean, he was really doing a service to the targeted individuals community by speaking out about his experience with Havana syndrome and things of that nature, and the whole gang stalking program. And I just felt like sharing his video with some of my family members. The same thing happened to me when I saw Shock G was talking about being gang stalked and having directed energy weapons being used on him and things of that nature. And I wanted to send it to my cousins because Shock G is a rapper, right? Shock G he used to rap with Tupac. So I thought maybe if they hear it from him, they'll believe him. But then I didn't send it because I was just like, what does it matter? What does it matter? Even if they do start to believe me, they're not going to do anything now. And even if they do believe me, let's say I want them to believe me because I want to be able to talk about it with them. They're not going to want me to talk about it with them. They're going to be like, yeah, I believe you, but also leave me alone. Like I don't want to hear about it all day, every day. It's not happening to me. Like people run out of empathy. Even people who are very empathetic, we run out eventually. We're just like, I don't have anything left in the tank right now. I need to recharge. So I think it's important to understand that your best friends are other targeted individuals that will understand what you're going through. Like me. Sorry. I feel like they are, they don't need to see my proof because they are involved. Possibly. How do you get help? Well, I like the question and I'm going to answer it. The way that we get help is the same way that we get justice for the victims of the trafficking ring, the children, right? It's politicians, judges, attorneys getting together, people that have the power to prosecute people getting together and not only investigating, but prosecuting. That's how we can get help, right? The issue is that all of these people are being threatened. Whenever they start looking into it and try to help targeted individuals, they're being threatened by their superiors, by other organizations that have power over them. Like it doesn't matter if you're, for example, it doesn't matter if you work at DHS, right? Let's say you work at DHS and you have a high position at DHS. If your superior at DHS tells you, do not investigate further. If you're an FBI agent and your boss tells you, do not investigate further or redact these names, you can either do that or you can get fired and end up on the list with them as well. So it's self-preservation. What we need is basically people with power to go, I'm going to sacrifice myself for this because an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And if it's happening to them today, it can happen to me tomorrow. But usually the people that are in high positions of power are extremely narcissistic and will not do that. It's just not even in the cards for them, right? It's like, that's not happening. I'm not sacrificing me for you. It's like, no, no, it's quite the opposite, actually. I would sacrifice you for me any day, but I'm not sacrificing me for you. So, but to answer your question, divine intervention. I hope this answers your question. My sister believes me, but prefers to protect our narcissist mother by quoting scripture, honor your parents so your days may be long. I know you know what that means, Harriet. I explore topics like archons, consciousness, and higher dimensions. Sorry, I don't know. It's the zombie apocalypse. Evil do exist. I can tell you for free, especially here in Africa, and also there in America. It's just packaged over there. Yeah, evil does exist. Thank you. You have no idea how much your words help. I'm glad I can help you. That's what I'm here for. I don't have power. I can't do much, but what I can do is offer you validation and a listening ear, moral support. Enjoy your life, peeps. Absolutely. Ricardo Santos, you are blocked. Take pleasure in the little things. Yeah, life is not over. Life is still happening. You have to enjoy it to the fullest. And I would say do it out of spite. Do it because they don't want you to, right? They want you to be sad and to be traumatized and to be tormented at all times, and they want you to feel small. And do it because if you're, what's the word I'm looking for, if the person torturing you tells you to jump, you should probably duck, right? So if through their actions they're showing you that they want you to be miserable, you should be joyful. And it's godlike. It's biblical to be joyful. God wants us to be joyful, to be childlike. Take pleasure in the little things. That is one of the best advice. It sounds really obsolete and dumb when you're going through torture. I'm sorry, Harry. I don't mean this as an insult. I just mean it as, I know I've been there. If you're going through torture and your life is falling apart and someone tells you, take pleasure in the little moments or focus on the things you can control, you go, what is wrong with you? What are you talking about? I need help, But the truth is, the best advice that you can receive is take pleasure in the little things. You are not dead. Live your life as much as you can. Today I was talking to a person in private message, and someone took the words I said to him and built a fake account named the same thing I wrote to him and used it to comment on something I posted. That is called directed conversation. What happened to you, that is called directed conversation. It happens to pretty much all of us, and most of my gang stalking is based around that. Like, for example, the last live I did, I had woken up that morning and I was looking up Zersetzung and how it ended. Zersetzung was gang stalking back in Germany in the 40s up until the 90s, 89. And I wanted to know, how did it end? Because it did end in Germany for a time. It did end. how did it end? And basically, the way that it ended was the Soviet Union lost Germany to France, Great Britain, and the U.S. And Germany knocked down the Berlin Wall and reunited between the East and the West. And after I had done that research, and it was the first thing I did in the morning, I literally woke up and thought to myself, how did Zhao Zetsung end? And I didn't even get out of bed. I looked it up, and I was doing all this research before I even got out of bed. And then I come on live this, the night of the same day, the night of the same day. On the same day, I come on live at night, and someone mentions, what side of the Berlin Wall would you be if you refer to yourself as comrade, which obviously would be the side that was controlled by the Soviet Union because they were communists and they referred to themselves as comrade, right? So it was a directed conversation. It was, I am letting you know in no uncertain terms that I'm spying on you. I know what you did this morning, but no one else will understand that I am sending you this message because I'm not telling you, hey, I know that you researched the civil war between Germany in the late 40s and late 80s, between the late 40s and late 80s. They're not saying I've been spying on you and I know what you did this morning. They're talking about what I did this morning. So when I tell other people, like, hey, this person is dog whistling at me, right? Is saying something that only I can understand. Um, Other people will tell you that's just a coincidence because that's what it looks like. And that's what gang stalking is. It's all crazy making behavior to mess with you, to anger you, to frustrate you. But more important than anything, it is to make you react and to destroy your credibility when you talk about it so that people go, you're nuts. You've lost it. So that when serious things happen to you and you talk about it, they also think you've lost it. Like, for example, I'll say to my dad, they popped my tires, Dad. I'm being followed in a hardware store. I'm being followed when I drive. They hit me with directed energy weapons. People are doing directed conversations with me, and then I explain to him what directed conversations are. He thinks I'm nuts. And then the car that he gave to my little brother gets set on fire. And I tell him, that's what they do, Dad. And instead of being like, oh, this is something that we might want to investigate, he thinks, no, 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 this has nothing to do. You know what I mean? So that's the whole point. We don't have that luxury anymore. Yeah, you don't have the luxury of being negative anymore. You have to be positive you have to be positive, and you have to forgive yourself for any mistakes you've made. You have to have accountability for your for your actions, but also have self-love and self-understanding, because it's your only defense mechanism against what's happening to you. I challenged that account and said, I know who you are because maybe I know who's behind it, but he didn't respond. Yeah, you shouldn't contact them at all. If someone is being weird to you with directed conversation, you should probably block them immediately. Um, there is nothing positive comes from interacting with gang stalkers or narcissists. The only thing that's going to happen is they're going to, because the goal that they have is not the goal that you have. The goal that you have is to solve something. The goal they have is to create frustration. See, it's like the expression, there's no point arguing with dum-dums. It's like playing chess with a pigeon. They're just going to poop all over the board and walk away as if they won, right? It's the same thing as interacting with narcissists and gang stalkers. Their goal is not your goal. They don't think like you. They're not like you. And this is where I find my closure and my sanity is knowing that the reason why they participate in the things that they participate in is because they're not like me. I'm not evil. I don't need their approval. I don't need the approval of Satan to know that I'm good. As a matter of fact, if Satan is attacking me and working against me, it's probably a sign that I'm a good person. You know, it's a pretty good indication, actually. And sometimes I say that to myself, like, what a privilege it is to find out that evil exists and to know that evil is attacking me. It has chosen me as its target. Satan doesn't attack, evil people. Satan loves evil people. Satan uses evil people. Satan attacks good people. Evil attacks good people. So, though I'm not perfect, I've made mistakes. I've given in to reactive abuse in the past. I know I'm a good person. I don't need the approval of the people that have been spying on me and are have been provoking my reactive abuse and have been spreading rumors about me around to destroy my life. I don't need their approval about nothing. As a matter of fact, um, their disapproval of me, I wear their disapproval of me like a badge of honor. So I would never have any type of interaction with these people. I don't need it. No safe place to go. They follow me everywhere I go. Well, yeah. I mean, that's all of us. Hey, Marissa, how's it going? How's it going? Cat talks 50-50. Yeah. Sometimes he says the truth and sometimes he's just like, he's out there. Overcoming evil and overcoming the crap show is real. Yep, sure is. I think the only way to reduce gang stalking is to live in the woods far from technology. They are everywhere. They find you. They'd find you. Somebody asked me like, "What's the solution?" And I said, "Join the Amish." I don't know. I have no idea. But I think I'm onto something with join the Amish, and I think the Amish are onto something because it's like, why have they completely separated themselves from society? Why do they choose to not participate in I mean most of them, not all of them, but most of them choose to not participate in our technologies. Something is up with that. No tech, no phones, they can't track you. Do you believe fallen angels walk among us? I think my wife is one of them. I mean, yeah, you can't travel anywhere without your problems literally following you. I've traveled to about 5 different states. They get there before I do. Yep. Oh, sorry. There's somebody. I'm just gonna ban somebody real quick. There's no excuse for them. No, there isn't. There really isn't. Wow, he wrote a lot of messages. I'm seeing like a bunch of deleted stuff. Bye. I read none of it. I'm really sorry for celebrities because they are going through hell living a fake life, also deceiving the world. Yeah. Did you guys see Jim Carrey? Everybody's talking about Jim Carrey's a clone. Like he's wearing a fake nose, guys. It's like that's almost he's wearing a fake nose and contacts, like blue contacts. He does that. He's a character. It's Jim Carrey. Did you just find out about him? But also, is he trying to send a message? Sure, he's trying to send a message. I have no doubt. Jim Carrey is a very deep and spiritual person, but he's not a clone. Not that there aren't clones. There are. If you can clone a dog, which you can, it's like $10,000 to clone a dog. Companies will do it for you. Like in Texas, there are companies that will clone your dog. But what I'm saying is, if you can clone a dog, you can clone a human. I'm fairly certain of it. As a matter of fact, I'm 100% sure of it. I'm really sorry for some. Are y'all in delay with the live the messages, or is it me because I'm not from the USA? No, I'm just reading every single comment, unlike most people. So I'm far behind. That's it. Folks should be very careful with what they sign. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with your body. Okay, same here. They believe me but deny their participation. Yeah, I understand. Been going through with the devil's minions for 20 years. They plug people back into my life I got rid of a long time ago. Yeah, never allow people to come back in your life. Never. Never. Uh, we should unplug ourselves from the Matrix. Did you watch the movie Matrix? The answers are there. That movie is 26 years old, and I felt bad watching it as a movie. It's actually awakening. It's awakening if you view it from a perspective, a certain perspective. You know, it is. Unless it happens to you, no one else understands what you're going through. Yeah, you just have to come to terms with the fact that no one is, well, not no one, because there are some people that do believe me, and I've been pretty shocked with who it was. Like, there's this woman that I trained her dog because I used to have a dog training school, and I trained her dog, and we remained friends on Facebook because she was so grateful of all the work I did with her dog, because she was like, I can't walk him, and it's just like, he's a pit bull, he's really strong and he's hard headed, and we trained her dog together, and at one point there was a protest because they were doing breed specific legislations in my city, Montreal, where they were banning pit bulls, and I showed up to that protest to go walk amongst the pit bull owners, and I saw her there, and we started walking together, and she was like, "I'm so glad you're here, and you're supporting our movement, and blah blah." And I was like, I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't have pit bulls. I didn't have pit bulls at the time. I used to before, but we stayed friends, and then I shared some posts on my Facebook, and she saw that, and she was talking to me, and she was like, not understanding what I was saying, and then I explained it to her, and she immediately believed me, and I was like, why do you believe me? And she was like, oh, my husband is Mexican, he's from Mexico, the cartels. Like, why wouldn't I believe you? We've seen some stuff. And I was like, oh. And then another guy who believes me was a guy I went to high school with that I actually never had a conversation with before, outside of like saying hi, though we had mutual friends. But I told him about it, and he instantly believed me. And I was like, why do you believe me? And he's like, I'm from the Middle East. I believe you. So, anyways, what do you do when it takes your focus? I'll distract myself. I'll distract myself. I'll talk to somebody. I'll talk to my wife. I'll get online, make a video. Um, Believe it or not, sharing my story has been very therapeutic for me. Not just sharing my story, but sharing my story and having people confirm to me over and over and over, thousands and thousands and thousands of views and comments and likes and reposts and shares, and on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube. It's been very helpful to me to have so many people confirm what it is I was going through. So I no longer focus on it too much. I'm just like, this is real. End of story. It's happening. What now? Right? Um, but I don't let it get to me, because I don't allow it to make me feel like I'm a bad person anymore. You know? Yes, I made some mistakes. Yes, I did some things that I'm not proud of. Yes, I did and said some things that I really regret, but I am human, and I was being driven to that. Reactive abuse is what they wanted in the first place. Had I known that this was happening, I wouldn't have given into it, but um the people that are judging me don't understand what I've been through in order to end up saying or doing some of the things that I did in reactive abuse. And I don't care to explain. I don't care what they think of me. I don't, the way that I see it is, I was driven to reactive abuse through abuse. You were convinced to abuse me after I did nothing to you. And no one is threatening you. No one is, you got the carrot. They're basically telling you like, oh, we'll give you this if you mess with him, you know, or if we're able to get him arrested, we'll share some of the proceeds, that some amount of money or whatever. If you follow him, we'll give you money, whatever. It's like, I take accountability for the things that I did wrong, and I move on and become a better person. You are plunging into darkness and becoming it. I feel sorry for you. Like, you think that I'm below you, but I feel sorry for you. So that's what me and my children are, survivors of human trafficking by corrupt authorities. Yep. I don't care about what people believe because they're all the same when it comes to narcissism. I just don't need validation. I live my life the way I want as long as I know who I am. It's exactly what I'm saying, Jim Jim. Exactly. Exactly. Oh, there's somebody else that needs to be blocked. Sorry. Need accountability in the system. Yeah. Yep. If this were if this were not happening to me, I wouldn't even know this evil nightmare existed. Yeah, and I probably wouldn't even believe it. Are y'all watching in the lit? No. How does that saying goes? Living your best life is the best revenge. Yeah, exactly. Living your best life is the best revenge. If you listen to a narcissist, you will ruin your life. I mean it. Yep. No delay. Definitely take pleasure in the simple things. 100%, Helena. 100%. I'm still in the. Okay. So that means anything you do, they have always expected you act out. So in a sense, you're under MK Ultra mind control. You're constantly put there. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Purpose devil is after your purpose. Yeah, yeah. That's normal questions are being. Yeah, there you go. Thank you, lead follower, for explaining. I'm going through this at work. Yeah, when it happens at work, that's really upsetting. That's really upsetting. I would just say document everything, document everything, because eventually you will have evidence that is circumstantial. One piece of evidence is not good enough to say like, oh, I'm being abused or whatever. But if you have enough evidence, and then you can build a case on people, and you can have evidence that is circumstantial. Document everything, and you know go to HR, because even if HR was in on it, it doesn't matter, because at a certain point, their fear is that you will sue the company. And even if you are, for example, you are not believed by them, or they're in on it, they're not on your side, what happens is they understand that if they do not resolve the issue in a manner that avoids lawsuits, because that's their jobs, it's avoid lawsuits. If they do not resolve the issue in a manner that avoids lawsuits, they can lose their jobs. So it no longer becomes about, um, I hate this person, so I want this person to be damaged, and I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm going to let it happen, or I'm going to participate in it because I'm being paid to, or whatever. It becomes, I don't want to lose this job. So at a certain point, I have to tell people to either stop, or um, I'm not going to participate in it because I don't want to lose my job. Because though they are giving me money, they're not going to give me another job. So you got to hit people where it hurts. Self-preservation. So I would say don't quit that job necessarily unless you want to. Sometimes you have to. Sometimes it's just it's the right thing to do sometimes. But I would say if you want to keep that job, gather evidence, document everything, record everything. Even if they tell you like, oh, the policies that you can't, record. Well, the policies that you can't abuse employees, and it's happening to me, so up yours. Purpose, inheritances, and assets. What the devil is after. Yeah, that too. I've been researching the Radium Girls story. They've given me a lot of inspiration. They were literally falling apart, and they still found joy and gratitude in the little things. What is the Radium Girls? What is happening? Oh, dang. Okay. That's interesting. You're under MK Ultra everywhere, unfortunately. Let me get you up to speed real quick. Let me get you up to speed. It's a war against those that oppose the body of Christ. Get your head in the game. What? You're blocked. I don't know why you're insulting me, but you're blocked. Nothing in life is to be feared. That's right. Except God. It means you are not supposed to keep composure. Fear is the devil. Fear is a liar. Just remember, you're always okay. I find it really puts things into perspective when you let them know they are heading to hell if they don't see Jesus. Trust me, you'll feel a lot better. Hmm. I agree. I agree 100%. I don't tell them though. I tell myself, I'm like, don't worry about it. These people are going in. You know, I mean, right is right, wrong is wrong. We all know what's right. We all know what's wrong. We don't need the law to tell us, or at least I don't need the law to tell me what is moral and what is not. If a law enforcement officer contacts me and tells me to abuse someone for profit or for whatever reason, I know that that's wrong. I wouldn't participate in it because that's wrong. But you did. You have no moral compass. You were given free will and you decided to use it that way. You are literally the definition of a person going to hell. Hey, Justice for Children, how's it going? How are you? You can never argue with a crazy mind. You ought to know by now. Billy Joel. I don't know that song. I'm sorry. All gang stalk victims need to band together. Together, we are God's army going to rise. I agree. I agree. I think we should band together, and I think we should organize to put one of us in, or some of us in positions of power. In some positions of power, I think one of the main solutions to end gang stalking is to defund secret police. I mean, why am I paying, or why are you paying federal taxes so that they can pay the FBI, so that the FBI can redact the names of trafficking ring clients and unredact the names of innocent victims? Why are you paying taxes for that? And I'm not saying don't pay your taxes. I'm saying, is that what you agree your taxes to go to? If you're not doing your job, if you're not doing what you're being paid for by the people, which is prosecute evildoers, protect victims, if you're literally, quite literally, doing the opposite of that, why do we have you? You are effectively criminals. If you redact their names and you refuse to prosecute them, that means you are participating in the RICO that they should be a part of. Am I crazy? Like, is it just me? Tell me something. Tell me something. Is it just me? How is it possible that no one is saying what I'm saying? The FBI has redacted the names of the client list and unredacted the names of the victims that they were specifically told to not unredact. They were told redact the names of these victims. They unredacted them. They were asked to unredact the names of the clients. They kept them redacted. Not a single police officer is being paid by anyone but you people, whether it be state or federal police. They're all paid through your tax dollars, all of them. This is what your tax dollars are being used for. Get rid of them. No thanks. Appreciate your service. Goodbye. Laws should be passed to get rid of them. We no longer, your services are no longer needed. Thank you very much. Talk to me. Talk to me. Let me know. Am I crazy? Is it just me? Have I lost it? Is what I'm saying not making sense? No confidence vote. There you go. Exactly. Exactly. 100%. Hey, Soul Geometric, how's it going, brother? They all criminals. They are all criminals. Absolutely. They are criminals. Effectively, if you are protecting criminals and endangering the lives of innocent victims, you're a criminal. You've joined them. Through no uncertain words, you're letting us know that you're part of it. I mean, at the very least, we shouldn't be paying for that, right? When I say things that make too much sense, I always feel like the FBI is about to, beam down through the ceiling and be like, put your hands, whatever. Ay, ay, ay. Somebody just told me to send them $5 for their parlay. I'm gonna do you one better. I'm gonna block you forever. Bye. Uh, uh, we do need to band together. Yeah. Dealing with evil and also narcissistic individuals is enough to break someone. But I think the divine for creating me strong. I have come close to death 6 times in my life and believe I'm different. Hmm. You know, the things that we go through, a lot of people would not be able to withstand. And it really makes you question statistics such as the unaliving rate. Why are people unaliving themselves? Why are people committing acts of mass violence? Um, it all seems orchestrated because it is. Uh, I've lived this for 30 plus years. God damn. Huh? I'm gonna say a prayer for you tonight. Justice for chosen. I'm gonna say a prayer for you. 30 years. Only found the word gang stalking and TI 4 months ago. Don't feel so bad. I went through it for 18 years before I found the term gang stalking. And what's really funny is normally when you go through something weird, if you're a millennial, if you're Gen Z, Gen A, when you go through something weird and you can't explain it, you'll Google it. You know, it's our generation's um, it's one of our generation's greatest thing is we can Google stuff and find the information. Um, Never did it occur to me to Google my situation. Hey, what does it mean when people, you know, talk about things that I did the day before at home? What does it mean when everybody seems to be bullying me in an organized fashion? And perhaps what I would have found was schizophrenia, or perhaps what I would have found would have been like, this is, you know, this resembles the belief system known as gang stalking or whatever. I just never Googled it. I didn't even know where to start. I was just like, this is insane. But of course, it's sort of built that way to overwhelm you. But yeah, don't feel too bad that it took you, 30 years to figure it out. Be glad. Be glad you're still here and you're figuring it out, and things are going to get much easier to handle because now you're aware. Document patterns. Patterns are very important. Same thing happening over and over again. Very important. 100% document everything, because evidence is all evidence of gang stalking is circumstantial. But once you add things up, they tell a story, right? It's the same thing with like any RICO indictment is usually when they get like a mob boss or a boss of a crime organization. He hasn't done anything, but there is a pattern of behavior that is telling of what is being done on his behalf or for him. So it's all about circumstantial evidence. If you can gather enough evidence, you can create a pattern and tell a story with the evidence. And if they don't take you seriously at HR, for example, sue them too. Take them to court. Heard half of your statement was, were you speaking on workplace harassment or anything pertaining to workplace? Well, I just was, so I was actually, I was. The Radium Girl story isn't unlike ours. They were whistleblowers. They filed lawsuits against the companies they worked, and those companies hired private investigators to follow them. Doctors denied what was happening to them. They were shunned by their communities, and many died while trying to unravel the lies and expose the truth to the world. And this is as old as time. This is nothing new. It's insane. It's insane. This is nothing new. Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't it standard practice for the law to tell civilians to stay out of it? To stay out of what? Lead follower? To stay out of what? You're 100% on point. Thank you, chemtrail hater. It makes sense. All right. No, we're all crazy after a narc. Is America safe? Is America safe? I don't know. I don't know. This generation is lucky. AI couldn't have come at a better time. Awareness is key. Well, I was talking about Google. I don't use AI personally. I don't think anyone should use AI. If you are using AI, I strongly suggest you don't. AI will be the death of us. I don't know if you noticed, but like almost every single AI CEO is just like evil. You know, they asked Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel is behind Palantir. Palantir's founders are Peter Thiel and Alex Karp. Alex Karp is out of his mind, constantly on that stuff. And he's talking about like spraying his enemies with drug-laced urine with drones. It's just what, you know? But Alex Karp was doing an interview, and the interviewer asked him like a softball question, like, "Do you think that humanity should survive, like should go on?" And he took like 30 seconds to answer. He was like, "Well," and the guy was like, "You're hesitating." And he was like, mm. And then he said, "Yes, but," and I was just like, "Huh?" You know, it was Ned Stark, I believe, or no, it was Jon Snow who said that his father, who's not his actual father, Ned Stark, said that everything you say before the word "but" is canceled by what you say after. Sort of like if I walk up to you and you are with your spouse and I say, "Hey, no disrespect, but you're shorty," it's fine, homie, right? It's like I just disrespected you. No disrespect is canceled now. Or, I don't mean to be rude, but you're very, you know, but cancels what was said before, and it confirms what is said after. When he said yes, but, I was like, that means no. Is no one catching that? The founder of Palantir does not think that. I mean, that's what I was getting when he said yes, but. He was like, should humanity continue? He was like, yes, but. Yes, but what? What if HR is the ones harassing? Yeah, like I said, if they're the ones harassing, doesn't matter. Gather evidence, and you know, sue them. because HR's job is just to avoid lawsuits. That's all it is. So if you sue them, maybe you lose your case, but also maybe they lose their jobs. You know what I mean? You ever heard of Hirohito? You ever heard of the term kamikaze? It's just like, okay, you guys are bullying me until I don't have a job. Okay, I lose my job. Maybe I lose my job, or maybe I get fired, or maybe I quit, but I'm suing you. And perhaps I'll lose, the lawsuit, but it's still gonna cost them money to go to court with me. And your job was to not, your job was to prevent a lawsuit. I don't have to outlive this company. I just have to outlive you. You're if you lose your job, I'm happy. We both lost our jobs now. You know, it's just you have to make it so you have to make it so it's not worth it for people to continue to harass you at work, right? It's like, do you really want this? Because I'm not going to just sit there and accept it and take it. I'm going to document every piece of abuse you do towards me. I'm going to film you with, Google glasses or whatever. I'm going to record you with my phone. I'm going to save every email that you send to me, everything. And eventually, I'm going to come after you with a lawsuit. So, helping them stop, keep tabs. I'm sorry, I forgot what you had said. Um, hmm. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's common for law enforcement to tell you not um, to stalk or not to participate in that kind of activity. But you do have to understand that the people who participate in that kind of activity are very often law enforcement. So, do you know Matrix? Sure. If HR is behind your harassment, you need to just find a new job. You have no one to complain to, so cut your losses. Take him to court. Take him to court. My second comment wasn't right underneath the first. That's all good. Between Google and AI, my kids are saying that AI isn't good. Well, I don't want to get too deep into the subject, but AI is the reason why um, sticks of rams have almost 10 times the price that they used to be. Like, it's ridiculous, to buy sticks of rams. uh AI uses a lot of water, um which we happen to need to survive. um and AI CEOs, AI will replace a lot of the jobs that are currently being worked on being worked by humans. It will replace a lot of jobs. A whole lot of jobs will replace AI. It's sort of like, you could own a little shop where you would just sell stuff, like antiques, or like you could own a mom and pop shop back in the 80s. Very easily you could open up a shop and just sell stuff. With Amazon, you can't do that anymore because Amazon does what you do at a price that is much lower than you. Um, and Amazon is very big on copying the products of other people and then selling it at a lower price until you're gone, and then they bring it up to a regular price or a profitable price. They'll sell something you're selling at a loss just to take you out of business, and then they'll bring their prices up. It's just like cornering the market, I guess. It is what it is. But AI will replace us. There it is. That's the answer. It's as short as I could make it. I'm sorry. AI will replace us. HR has bosses to answer to as well. Exactly. HR has bosses to answer to as well. You are not, just because HR is on you and abusing you does not mean that you have to quit your job. They have bosses they need to answer to as well. And if their bosses are in on it, these people have bosses that they need to answer. Like eventually someone is going to go fix it, or you're fired. Or, just take him to court. Just take all your proof and take him to court. What is Totoro is talking about? Totoro makes sense or be blocked. All right. They tried to sacrifice my daughter and I 22 years ago, but we escaped 6 months ago. They tried to take her and her unborn son at it in a car crash. Dang. Well, I'm glad you guys are all okay. Jesus. I had an HR employee call me a basehead and later returned to say she was joking. Huh. I would tell her I want your I would have told her next time something like that happens, tell her I want your apology in written form so that I can take it to your boss and say I don't forgive this. This needs to be handled. I would just take him to court. You know, you what? What? You call me a what? At work? Corporate? You work in corporate and you making these kind of jokes? Mm. Does your wife deal with harassment as well? My husband deals with harassment at work while driving directed conversations. Not yet. Not yet. Apparently my brother does. Last time I spoke to him about work, he told me I feel like I'm gonna get fired. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly how I felt when I was being gang stalked at work and I didn't know what was going on. I just kept feeling like I was gonna get fired. And eventually I just quit my job because it was too much and I didn't understand what was happening. I'm so sorry, Justice for Chosen. I'm so sorry. Uh, I'm sorry for your loss. Mm. They are saying purposely words wrong that have sense in my language just to mock. What's your language? What are they saying? Okay, you're gone. Goodbye. Sorry. I've decided to be a bit less lenient with people who write weird comments in my chat. It's just like makes sense, makes sense, or get out. Do you think the program will ever end? Do I think the program will ever end? Um, I think it'll take on a new form. You know, gang stalking is evil organized. Evil will always organize, and within our society, narcissistic behavior is rewarded quite literally, actually. So I think even if gang stalking stops, it will show up again as something else. Evil will show up again as something else, and they will always choose innocent people to torture. So yes, but also no. Is it like instead of Matrix, Maddox, that Maddie means like crazy people? Hmm. It has been here before, by the way, in a previous reset. Oh, that's interesting. When was it here? Speak on that. Are you about to tell me about the Tartaria? The Tartarian Empire? Speak on it, please. I want to know. What are you talking about? What's your definition of evil? Narcissism to me is the scientific word for evil. So Narcissism. That's what it is to me. Evil is narcissism, self-serving behavior, psychopathy, narcissistic behavior, cluster B personality disorder. You're pretty late, Cosmic Queen. You're very late. I've been here for an hour and 40 minutes, and I'm not going to be here for too long, so I'm sorry. Those are 99% locals that know me personally, just harassing me. They attacked more. Those 2 days, maybe they are free from work and just harass more. Hmm. You know, to me, what was really hurtful when I was being harassed and antagonized by people at work or wherever I went was it was the fact that I wanted them to like me. And I thought, what have I done to these people? If everybody doesn't like me, then there must be something wrong with me, and I internalized it. But now when people abuse me, I just go, well, that only has to do with you. That's really a you issue. There's nothing wrong with me. You know, Perhaps you've been privy to something I did or said while being tortured by the government. That doesn't make you a better person than I am. You know, um, I no longer take it personal when I'm being abused, so it has much less of an effect. You know, I just look at it as, yeah, you could say words. It doesn't much matter to me. If you put your hands on me, it's a different story. But all of you are cowards. You know, I mean, somebody comes to your house and somebody has an issue with you, with something you did or something you said or whatever, or just with who you are because you're a woman or you're a man, you're black, you're white, you're gay, you're trans, whatever it might be, right? And they decide to come to your home and slash your tire instead of, you know, tell you put your dukes up. I have an issue with you. It's just like you're a coward. Only a coward would do that. And I no longer take it personal because I'm just like, I don't, you don't approve of my character. I think you're evil. I think you're going to hell, you know? And much of the people that are participating in your abuse oftentimes they participate in it because they also think you're evil. The difference between you and I is I wouldn't attack you because I think you're evil. I would steer clear of you because I'm not evil. But humans are humans, and all humans should have a right to freedom, the pursuit of happiness, freedom of speech, whatever, right? But you don't think so. You think that because other people have made mistakes, they deserve to be ostracized and tortured and all these things, right? That means you're evil. Literally, that's what it means. It means you're willing to participate in that. That quite literally means that you are evil. Especially if you're not even participating in it for money. Because let's be real, if you're participating in it for money, you are evil. Um, but if you're participating in it strictly like for the love of the game, right? Because you enjoy doing that, you enjoy inflicting pain on others, you're an evil person and you're going to hell. So, however you feel about me, whatever you say about me, whatever abuse you try to put me through, I really just view it as, yeah, well, a demon is going to like try to torture your soul. Obviously, that's what demons do. You're a demon. You don't see the correlation between torturing someone's soul and being a demon. Well, then you're also an idiot. And I don't know which one is worse. You're either stupid or you're evil. I mean, evil is worse, but then again, stupid is more dangerous because stupid people are controlled by evil people. But either way, Your judgment of my character is infinitely worthless if you are evil enough to do something, or if you're stupid enough to be convinced by evil people to do evil in the name of good. What do I care how you feel about me? Put your hands on me. See what happens. Let's dance. If you know the word Tartaria, then you have an idea. Yeah, I do. I do. Thank God you're exposing narcs. Thank God indeed. Thank God indeed. Yeah, I'm shadow banned, Cosmic Queen. Sorry, I'm shadow banned. I am. It is what it is. I used to get like 6,000, 10,000 views per video, and now I get like, I'm lucky if I reach 1,000. I'm shadow banned. It is what it is. We not stopping, baby. Do you think jealousy is part of it? Yes. Yes. Hmm. I actually love when people don't like me. Hey, I think they believe to be the only one to stalk me, and they are right to think that. But there's also something else. But the thing is that they know me, I know them, but they never said it clearly. Mm. Uh, I don't think anything excuses their behavior. And I know when I'm saying this, it sounds um, hypocritical because, you know, I think that people should not be too hard on themselves for giving into reactive abuse, because this experience, this torture will lead you to reactive abuse. And really that's the goal. The goal is to make you react so that they can point a finger at you and say you're crazy, you're dangerous, and then they can convince others to also believe that you are crazy and dangerous so that they will then abuse you as well. Um, but I personally think that there's a big difference between being convinced to do something evil to someone in the name of good and being driven to do something bad or evil through torture, through mind control, unbeknownst to you. Like no one has no one has took you through psychological warfare in order to get you to do something to somebody else, in order to torture somebody else, you know. You were just stupid enough to believe the words of a psychopath. There's no excuse. It's like the Nuremberg trials, you know. Everybody said, well, we were just doing what we were told. It's like, word? That doesn't hold up in court. It just doesn't, you know. And I'm not saying that, being tortured holds up in court, because, all these people that, like, for example, you look at the trial of Semi Williams, I believe, who's being accused of unaliving a woman and her child, and he's saying that he's a targeted individual. Like, that doesn't hold up in court, saying like, "Oh, I'm a targeted individual," uh, you know. But at the same time, he is saying he's innocent. He's saying, "I didn't do it. I'm being framed," which God, Lord knows, we know they do that, right? They frame, they're trying to frame you. That's basically what it is. The gotcha game. They're trying to get you to commit to reactive abuse so that they can frame you as a villain, as a bad person, so that people will attack you on their behalf. But I don't care, like, you don't get to attack innocent people or attack tortured souls because someone has convinced you to do it, and then you just get forgiven. That doesn't happen. It's sort of like that guy who set himself on fire. He used to be, I believe, like either British Army soldier or US soldier, and he just set himself on fire in front of a federal building because of what he and his organization had participated in doing to innocent people out there in the Middle East. It's just like he knew, he understood, I have been fooled into doing something really horrible, into doing something unforgivable to innocent people. And he had a hard time living with that. And obviously, I wish that he didn't do what he did, but he understood. He knew. I joined them. I joined evil. I think of the things that are being said about me behind my back, whether true or false, it doesn't matter. But when it comes to the things that are true, that I've actually said or that I've actually done, and I sleep like a baby at night because I know that's not me. This, this is the tortured version of me. This is the version of me that is dealing with the US government or whatever government, right? Whatever government entity torturing me, waging psychological warfare against me. I don't take um I take accountability for my actions, and I allow it to become to let me become a better person, but I don't take the blame for it, you know? I'll give you an example because a lot of people say taking accountability and taking blame is the same thing, and it's really not. Allow me to explain what I mean to you. If you are in a relationship with someone who is abusive and you decide to stay after they become physically abusive, you decide to stay, you're accountable for that decision. You have, even after you have to hold yourself accountable for making the decision of staying in a relationship with someone who was physically abusive. You have to be able to tell yourself, I should have left, I could have left, I didn't. I'm accountable to that choice, right? No matter how much gaslighting was going on in that relationship, no matter how much lying, future faking there was in that relationship, you must be accountable to the choice you made, which is staying in that relationship. But I'll be damned if you are to take the blame for someone else choosing to be physically violent towards you. That is not your blame. That is not yours to take. They are to blame. You know, if you walk down the street in a short skirt at 3 in the morning and someone essays you, you are accountable for the choice you made, which is wearing a skirt at night at 3 in the morning. But you are not to blame for your essay. It's not your fault. You are only accountable to your own choices. Anyway. Have you heard of Archaix? He has a channel on Old World AI. I have not. I'll be honest with you, I'm not there yet. When it comes to the Tartarians, I've watched a video about it. I have a friend in Australia who sent it to me. I've watched a video about it, and I'm trying to get there, but it's a little X-Filesy to me. But I do believe in some of it, especially when it comes to like vibrations, linen, all of that. I do believe in a lot of it. I'm not there yet. Give me time. It's sort of like V2K. It took me a while to believe in it. Oh, my battery's about to give out. I do have to go soon. Sorry, guys. I turn up the heat pushing back and pressing forward. They will fall in this reset, and I will enjoy the show. We shall all enjoy the show. You're accountable for staying in a relationship. Yeah, in an abusive relationship. What it is and change how you respond. Yep. You're not in this fight alone. None of us are. We're all in here together. That's terrible, but he shouldn't have taken himself out that way. I believe anyone who took their life took the easy way out. I agree. He shouldn't have done that. Don't you just love it when karma fixes things? Do you know the man I'm about to divorce is retiring from military? This divorce came at the right time. Hey, love that. Let God do his job. Vengeance is mine, said the Lord. Amen. That's right. That's right. They are spying and making fun of torture. But if they use those energies into making their life better, they would be rich. Yeah. I mean, these people are not builders, they're destroyers, right? It's what they do. They destroy. So it is what it is. I don't do stupid. It's dead honest. Being dumb is still no excuse. Exactly. Being dumb is not an excuse. You know the profound word for evil is narcissism. Just figured that out. Yeah. I don't know if they get that they're cowards. Honestly, I don't really put them in the category of narc or psycho. I think it's dark triad Machiavellianism. Machiavelli was a narcissist. Machiavellianism is narcissism. Sorry about that. One second. Machiavelli was definitely a narcissist. Judge not right. Have you? They all have a one-way ticket to hell. They do. They do. You think dues are a thing? Thanks for the gift, J. Ross. J. Ross Ross. I know dues are a thing. I've been hit with directed energy weapons before. I know for a fact they are a thing. I confirm that they exist. I used to not believe in V2K because I never got hit with V2K, but my brother's experience and the experience of others being told to me has confirmed to me, like, oh, this is real. And then I saw a video of a college teacher beaming voices to his students directly, and we couldn't hear anything, but they could hear it as if it was coming from their own heads. Yeah. How is Niccolo Machiavelli a narcissist? I need that information. Oh man. I think that you like Niccolo Machiavelli, and that if I was to explain to you why he's a narcissist, I think you'd be you would have a hard time accepting that information, or you wouldn't like it very much. I think that one should study narcissism, and when you study narcissism, you can see it in anybody. Like, for example, one of my favorite rappers is 50 Cent. 50 Cent. But he is a narcissist. By all means, he's a narcissist. You know, who else is a narcissist? You know, Dame Dash is a narcissist. Damon Dash, the founder of Rockefeller, with Jay-Z, he's a narcissist. Who else is a narcissist? I don't know. I don't know. But I'm just saying, Niccolo Machiavelli viewed people as objects to be used. And if you couldn't be used, then you had no value to him. That's self-serving, narcissistic mode of operandi. Yeah. Directed energy weapons will mess you up. I thought I was having a heart attack. I felt like I was gonna throw up, and um I was like having vertigo and stuff. I don't like him. I believe he told it like it is. Well, I agree with you. I do believe he told it like it is. Um, I think a lot of narcissists are very honest about how the world actually is, and I think the difference between a narcissist and someone who's evil and someone who's not evil, both of us can see the world for what it is. Um, a narcissist will participate. A narcissist will do his part in his race to the bottom. You know, if if every person operated like Niccolo Machiavelli, the world would be a terrible place. It's 3 in the morning here. Machiavellianism is a little different in practice. There's overlap of all three, and someone can be a narc and a psycho, but to be dark triad, you have to prioritize strategy and covert tact over brute force. Yeah, I mean, that's called covert narcissism. Covert narcissism, or what is also referred to as baby psychopaths. Most of my lives are at this time. Currently, most of my lives are at this time, but they didn't used to be, and they won't be for forever. I'll start doing them at noon again. I've had migraines till my nose started bleeding, burning my skin. That I had Parkinson's. So many body pains I couldn't explain. It made me feel alone, like I was being tortured. Yeah, I just had that. I've had a migraine that lasted about a week and a half maybe, and I had a nosebleed. I haven't bled from my nose since I was like 14. So I do believe I'm still being hit with dudes. Just I don't talk about it because what can I do? You know, it's just I deal with it. I call it strategy to navigate this world. You must be certain to way to survive this world. Um, I think I can agree with you to a certain extent. You know, strategy to navigate this world. Um, but there are certain people that don't use these tactics to navigate this world. They use these tactics to dominate this world. And narcissists are only concerned with dominating. They're heavily concerned with dominating people, um, getting people under their control. And I think Niccolo Machiavelli was one of them. Anybody who's consumed with the idea of dominating people is not a good person. That's why I always say there are no good billionaires. There are no good-hearted billionaires. Every billionaire views people as objects to be used. They speed your heart up. Yeah, they sure do. That's why we are not fit to be evil and powerful. Yeah, I'm not fit to be. I mean, powerful maybe. I think I have wisdom, but I'm not fit to be like I don't want like I wouldn't chase a position of power. I'm not interested in a position of power. I think everybody should sort of be left to their own devices. I believe with what I have been through, I don't have to be nice. Well, Jem, I believe with what I have been through, I don't have to be nice. I want you to understand, and I don't want you to take this the wrong way, okay? But I want you to understand that this is the mentality of an abusive narcissist. They think to themselves, I'm a victim. I'm a victim of this world. I don't have to be nice. I don't I don't owe anyone an explanation as to why I'm abusive to them. This world has done enough to me, you know? Um, this is the precursor to why they are abusive towards people, why they are able to go through the mental gymnastics of not holding themselves accountable for hurting people. Now, there's a difference between feeling like you don't have to be nice to anyone, which is true. You don't have to be nice to anyone. And, you know, with what we've been through, and I agree with you, with what I've been through, I don't feel that I have to be nice to anybody. I also don't justify hurting people because of my suffering. Niccolo Machiavelli did, though. It's a slow unaliving. Yeah. Silent torture, slow kill. That's what it is. They will be held accountable in the afterlife, in the forever. They will. What are your thoughts, Jem, I'm enjoying this conversation. I do have to go, but I wanna I wanna hear what you have to say before we go. You can't hurt people, but you can refuse to suffer. 100%. Then we agree here. We are in agreement. You know, um, what's the expression that I often say is you know, don't hurt people, but take no shit. Or I don't remember which. I think it was Roosevelt that said, "Speak softly and carry a big stick." Um, just like, be calm, be cool, but also be ready. Yeah, it was Teddy Roosevelt. Also be ready to smack someone if they play with you. And I think that has value, honestly. Speak softly, but carry a big stick. You don't have to go around trying to hurt people, but you don't have to take anything from anyone. Can you say more about refusing to suffer? How? Well, it's not so much like, I know you're like probably thinking of like the gang stalking program and refusing to suffer when it comes to the gang stalking program. But what I mean is, when I say refusing to suffer, it's more as far as relationships. If you're in a relationship with someone who's mistreating you, it's refusing to be around people that are not treating you well, refusing to give your energy to people who are mistreating you. Basically, having enough respect for yourself to just go like, I don't deserve this. I'm worth more than this. Because oftentimes the whole gaslighting of abusive narcissists and psychopaths and abusive people, the whole gaslighting is them convincing you like, no, no, what I did is okay. It is okay because you do deserve abuse sometimes, and you should agree with me that you deserve abuse sometimes. And you just have to be like, no, no, I don't agree. I don't have to agree. And as a matter of fact, I disagree. Leave. Or you leave, right? That's what I mean at the very least when I say um, refusing to suffer. I don't like folks driving me crazy because some idiots are blowing up my line that shouldn't. Divorce after your live stream. I'm going to block them all because they enjoy seeing me suffer. Well, I think that's a very wise idea. Anybody that, especially in our position, you know, because okay, so here's the thing, Jem Jem. When Niccolo Machiavelli says um, something like, okay, what was it that you said? I'm sorry. This is all gonna come together real nicely. I'm gonna buckle this up for you. I believe with what I have been through, I don't have to be nice. When Niccolo Machiavelli says something like that or thinks something like that, what he's saying is, because of what I've been through, I give myself the right to abuse people. When we say, with what I've been through, I don't feel like I have to be nice, what we're saying is, because of what we've been through, we give ourselves the right to hold boundaries with people, right? And if you're a person that has been in a relationship with a narcissist or an abusive person for a long time, then you have boundary issues. You feel uncomfortable setting boundaries with people. Like, for example, my ex, who was abusive for a long time, would constantly text me and message me and just say things to try to get me riled up, right? And at one point, the girl I was dating at the time, after her, one of the girls I was dating at the time after her, told me, why don't you just block her? And I had to sit with that because I didn't have an answer, you know? And I had to sit with that and just tell myself, you should have blocked her a long time ago. Where is your self-respect? Where are your boundaries, man? if this is a person who doesn't respect you, who causes you, anguish, pain, whatever, block them. Or at one point when I was separating from my ex, I went to go see a therapist. I mean, I had booked a session for both of us, but at that point, she had, we had already broken up, and she had refused to come with me. But I had booked it already, so I decided to just go. And I was telling him about everything that was happening, and I was telling him like there's no point, it's over anyways. And he was asking me about the abuse, and I would tell him like, oh, she said this, she said that, she's done this, she's done that, and he was like, whoa. And then he was like, "Are you guys still together now?" And I was like, "Yeah, we're still together, but she just had surgery, so I'm taking care of her." And he just sat there and he looked at me and he said, "Why?" And I said, "Well, we've been together for 13 years. She needs me now, so I'm helping her. I'm taking care of her." And he was just like, "Why?" And I repeated myself. I said, "Well, we've been together for 13 years, this person, we've been together, we were a couple, and this is her time of need, so I'm being here for her." And he looked at me again and he said, "Why?" And I stopped talking, and then the session ended. But years later, I just kind of sat home and I was thinking to myself, he wasn't saying why as in, why are you helping her? He was asking himself like, why do you think this person deserves, for you to take care of them? Like, it doesn't matter that they're in a time of need. If this person is hurting you, if this person is disrespecting you, if this person is putting their hands on you, if this person is causing you trauma, causing you, anxiety, causing you pain, you don't owe them anything at this point. You owe them no loyalty. You owe them no explanation. You don't have to have their approval to have a boundary that says, I don't talk to people who disrespect me. I don't talk to people who make me feel like crap. I don't talk to people who cause me pain. I don't allow access to me to people who do not value me as a person. That's what he was saying when he was saying, why? You know? And it took me a while to get it, but and this brings me to another point that I want to say, which is narcissists and psychopaths say the same words that we say, but they don't mean the same thing we mean. Again, when I say I've been through enough that I don't feel I have to be nice to anyone, I will make it a short video. When I say, sorry, when I say that I've been through enough that I don't have to be nice to anyone, what I mean is I have boundaries and I will uphold my boundaries and I will respect myself and not allow access to someone who does not value me or who disrespects me. But when a narcissist says it, what they mean is I have suffered, I'm a victim. Therefore, if I hurt other people, it's justified. I'm always justified in hurting other people because I have suffered. I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense to you. When you're dealing with the dark tribe Machiavellian, there's no boundary because the ends always justify the means. That's what I was saying earlier. Yeah. Yeah, you just have to get away from these people. Well, I'm glad you agree, Jem Jem. And the last thing I'm gonna say is, like I said, narcissists and psychopaths, they say the same things we say, but they don't mean what we mean. And another example, and I think this is the most important example of all, is when I say to someone, I love you, what I'm saying is, I appreciate you, I value you, I admire you, I respect you. You are important to me. You are someone that I see as, I see the light in you, right? When a narcissist or a psychopath or an abusive person says, I love you, what they're saying is, you are useful to me. You bring me something. You serve your purpose well, you know? Which is why once you stop serving your purpose in that moment because you have boundaries, because you're tired, because you're angry, because they made you angry, whatever it might be, right? Once you stop serving your purpose, or because they have an endless need for narcissistic supply that you can no longer provide for them, uh, they start abusing you because you are no longer serving your purpose, and therefore they no longer love you, but they never did love you. They said I love you, but what they were actually saying was you are serving your purpose for me right now, because they view people as objects to be used. And the only value you hold for a narcissist or a psychopath or an abusive person is how you serve them. And once you no longer serve your purpose, you are useless and you deserve abuse to them. That's it. I love what you give me. Exactly. I love what you bring to me. And oftentimes you'll find out, you'll figure it out when you ask someone who loves you or who says they love you, why do you love me? You know? Like, for example, if my wife asks me, why do you love me? I would say, you're an angel. You're a fallen angel on earth. You are the kindest person I know. You are so gentle, so pure of heart. I admire you in ways that I didn't even think I could admire someone before, right? But if you ask a narcissist, why do you love me? They would say, you make me feel loved. You make me feel good. I love the way you make me feel, right? Because it always revolves around themselves. It's never about you. Anyways. Because of my experience, I have to start checking undertones. Yeah, absolutely. The experience that I've gone through with narcissistic abuse has really taught me one of my most important lessons, which is um, reading people, seeing who is a good person, who is not a good person, who is safe, who is not safe. Bango la mango. Yes, I do have pets. I have a dog. May I please ask a side question? How do you deal with someone who operates through Darvo? That's a great question. It's like, how do you operate with someone or how do you have an interaction with someone who operates in bad faith? Right? I'm going to answer your question with a question. How do you have an interaction with someone who operates from a place of bad faith? Because that's what Darvo is, right? You tell them about something that they did to hurt you, and they twist it and play the victim. How do you interact with someone who, operates from a place of bad faith? How would you do that? Give me your answer, I'll give you mine. Hey, thanks for the gifts, guys. Somebody sent me ketchup chips. A wolf bird. Nice. Thank you. Very much appreciated. Decrement is key. Discernment. I'm not sure what decrement is. I blocked him. He's suspect. Yeah, he is suspect. I'm pretty sure he's gonna say something dumb. We'll see. Or if he doesn't say anything, I'll block him anyways. She-Hulk says, I'm honestly not sure. The answer is very simple. The question that She-Hulk asks, I can't see your profile picture. I can only see like a nice little afro here. But She-Hulk asks, may I please ask a side question? How do you deal with someone who operates through Darvo? And the answer is, you don't. You simply don't. You don't deal with someone who operates through Darvo unless they're a child, unless they're a baby, like someone who's like 12 or under. This is the only way you can actually operate with someone who operates through Darvo. I can only deal with someone who operates through Darvo if I have authority over them. Because an adult who operates through Darvo is an adult who's unable to take accountability for their actions, which means that you have to take the blame for everything. which means that everything that goes wrong in their lives has to be somebody else's fault. And if you're in a relationship with them, then it's probably going to be you for most of it, right? So a relationship with someone who cannot take accountability, basically who operates through Darvo, who blames other people, who twists, who twists reality to, to avoid accountability to make themselves be the victim when oftentimes they are actually the abuser in a situation, but they make themselves out to be the victim. What's going to happen is this person is never going to be able to hold themselves accountable for anything. They lose their jobs because they're always late. It's your fault. They get an upset stomach because they don't eat healthy. It's your fault. They they start to neglect you and are less romantic in a relationship. It's your fault too. I remember I had this moment with my ex, and I spoke about this on a past live, maybe two lives ago. I had said that on Christmas 2019, my ex had given me a speech, a 45-minute speech on why I'm a bad boyfriend. And I sat down with a notepad and I wrote everything she said. And I had like 2 full pages of a little small notepad of everything she said that was wrong with me. And it was a 45-minute speech. I checked the time. Like it lasted 45 minutes. And after 45 minutes, I asked her, okay, I took in everything you said. And I took notes because I was studying narcissism. So I was trying to prove to myself that this is a narcissistic person. I was trying to give myself validation, and I got it. So that night I got it. And after she gave me that speech, I asked her, okay, so I have all these flaws that you see in me as a boyfriend. Now, I would like to ask you, what do you think your flaws are, if you have any? And what she responded to me was, well, we're not talking about me, we're talking about you. And I said, no, you talked for 45 minutes. I listened to you. I didn't interrupt you. I even took notes. I asked you if you were finished, you know? And she said, yeah. And I was like, well, I'm asking now, what about you? Do you think you have flaws? And she proceeded to name one flaw, which was, I believe she said something like, I sleep a lot. And then she said, but I wouldn't be so sleepy if it wasn't for you. So I wrote it down and I was like, oh, okay. So I scratched it off and I said, what else? And she named something else. I like, not important what it was, but she named something else. And then she said, but it wouldn't be that way if it wasn't for you. So I scratched it off. And then I said, anything else? And she said something else. And again, she said, but I wasn't like that before I met you. And I was like, okay, anything else? And she was like, not that I can think of. And then I asked her, I said, okay, so you just named 3 of your flaws here. And she was like, yeah. And I was like, but you are saying in no uncertain terms that you wouldn't have these flaws if it wasn't for me. So it's my fault. And she was like, yeah, it is. And I was like, okay. So my question to you here is, since all of the flaws that you named, well, the 3 flaws that you named to me, are my fault, do you think you're perfect? And I kid you not, what she answered to me was, well, at least 99%. I mean, she said it in French, but these are the exact words that she said. She said, ben, au moins 99%. Right? She said, at least 99%. Right? And when she said that, I realized this person thinks they're perfect. And that's how narcissists operate. They never think they do anything wrong. They never think they have flaws. And if they do think they have flaws, they have mental gymnastics that will blame someone else for it. So if they do something wrong, they have mental gymnastics that will blame other people for it. They cannot hold themselves accountable. And the reason why they cannot hold themselves accountable is because of their narcissism. And narcissism, to people, it seems like this idea of self-love, but it's not self-love. Narcissism is a defense mechanism against the broken ego. And the broken ego, the ego is the part of you that says, what about me, right? A narcissist has a broken ego, and the ego, instead of saying, what about me, the ego is telling them, you're worthless. You are the worst human being on earth. You should unalive yourself, right? That's what their ego is telling them every single day, 24/7 at all times. Their ego Their egos are attacking them, right? And the narcissism is the defense mechanism that tells them, or that makes them behave in a way, right? And what narcissism is telling them is, you're not stupid. You're the smartest. You're not the worst. You're the greatest. You're not, you shouldn't unlove yourself. You deserve everything, right? You don't deserve nothing. You deserve everything, right? Which is why they have this motivation to always get more and more and more, no matter what they get. And it's also why they're never happy. But it's also why they are unable to hold themselves accountable to any mistakes they make or any flaws that they may have, because they already have a voice inside their heads telling them that they're worthless, that they can't fight against, you know? And the only way that they can actually hold off this voice in their heads that is telling them that they're worthless is through their narcissism, through their defense mechanism. So you tell your narcissistic partner, hey, you forgot to take the trash out. And you think you're telling them to take, that they forgot to take the trash out. And you think they're hearing you say you forgot to take the trash out. But what you are actually doing to the narcissist in their perspective is confirming the voice in their heads that is telling them you're worthless. You can't even do that properly. You couldn't even remember to do that properly. You are worthless. Look, here is the proof. And they get angry and they lash out. And you're like, I just told you you forgot to take the trash out. I asked you to do it. You said you would do it. You didn't do it. I'm telling you you didn't. And now you're lashing out as if you were the victim. But they are the victim of their broken ego. They're not fighting you. They're fighting the broken ego. And that's why I always say narcissism, no matter how personal the abuse that they put you through may feel, whether it be a partner, whether it be a parent, whether it be a sibling, or even your gang stalkers, it's never about you. It's about them. Does that make sense? Did I lose some of you? Yeah. The quote, nothing in life is to be feared, is only to be understood by the famous scientist Marie Curie. Marie Curie is so far the best quote from a woman. Yeah. Their ego is out of control. This world is out of this world. They love control. Their ego is like a balloon. It's huge. It takes up the whole room, but it's fragile. And with a very small, words or actions, just saying no to them, disagreeing with them, you bruise the ego and it goes, and now they're fighting tooth and nail to bring it back, because to them it feels like death. It feels like death because they deal with a brutal ego that is constantly telling them they're worthless. And when you do anything to even remotely confirm what the broken ego is telling them, they go nuts. And you think you just rejected some dude in the street, like his advances. But what you just did is you confirmed to him what his ego has been telling him all along. You think, you refused to do a favor for your sister, but what you just confirmed to her is what her ego has been telling her, which is you're worthless, you don't deserve anything, And she can't deal with hearing the word no. And you think she's just childish, which she is. Children are narcissists. But usually children will grow out of narcissism once they realize, I'm not alone in this world. There are other people. All of these people have their own feelings and consciousness. But narcissists, they grow into the narcissism. And they continue to believe that the world revolves around me. And it needs to continue that way. And if it doesn't, then people are going to pay for it. Yeah. Let me just read the comments. You ever don't enjoy the boundaries? What's Darvo? Darvo is when someone who's attacking you plays the victim. In the next life, if I ever make it, can we go over Dog whistles, direct conversation. I have a friend who I believe is just triggered by guilt, but she's describing a dog whistle that's too complex. Well, that's interesting. We can do that on the next live, sure. Or write me a message, Cosmic Queen. Just please make it short or send me voice notes because you sent me a long text last time and I didn't have the courage to read it. I'm dyslexic. Um, yeah, I'm gonna ban Bango Lamango real quick. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's read the comments. I had to give back my pet yesterday and I have an account named Mango. I don't say no more. We know they are harassing me today. Yeah, yeah, this is probably one of your gang stalkers, Gigi. This would be, I mean, you say you had to give a pet, your pet yesterday, your pet back yesterday, and I'm guessing it's a dog. I'm just guessing it's a dog, and his profile picture was a dog, and his name is Mango. So yeah, he's probably one of yours that you brought in here. Don't worry about it too much. Just you block him and you move on. But that would be a good example of directed conversation. Gigi gave back a pet yesterday, and he has an account named Mango, and you know it's a type of directed conversation that when he talks about it, people who don't understand this kind of experience or have never gone through it will look at him like you're putting things together that shouldn't be put together. You're tripping. But people who go through it, they know. No, this is not random. This is to upset you, and it's meant to upset you, and it's also meant to make sure that no one else understands except you, which is why it's called dog whistle. You whistle, you blow into a dog whistle. No one hears it, but your dog hears it, or every dog hears it. Um, that sounds familiar to me. Yeah, we all deal with narcissists at some point until we don't anymore. Narcissists don't know accountability for anything. They always turn it 180. Yep. Thank you for your honesty. I have to deal with this person on a daily basis. I didn't understand what I was getting into at first because I was taught to look out for physical abuse and not mental. Me too. Me too. I lasted in a relationship with a covert narcissist for 13 years because she wasn't physically abusive until I grew a backbone and I started to develop self love and I started saying things that upset her, like no, or I disagree, or I would prefer not to do that, or you know, I have a different opinion than yours. Things like that, right? And then, she got really upset, and I saw a violent side of her, and she got physical. And at that point, it was really easy for me to go, 13 years doesn't matter. She's putting her hands on me. I'm a black man. She's a white woman. This can't work because if I retaliate, I'm going to jail. And I'm probably not going to be able to not retaliate if she's putting her hands on me, which is why I'm very specific to people. Like if you touch me in any way that I don't like, I'm gonna tell you one time, look, never put your hands on me again. Until I tell you that you can, never put your hands on me again. And if you do, I'm either going to straight up take off on you, or I'm going to, accuse you of SA, and we're going through all the whole process of it because don't touch me. Uh, I love people that operate with Darvo because, like you said, it's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault. Every finger they point is for pointing back. So you can see exactly what they're doing to you. Yeah. Oh my God, she's insane. Who's insane? Oh, my ex? Yeah. I wish every narcissist would marry another narcissist and live in their own destructive world together as a group and leave the true empathic, and good-hearted people the heck alone. Well, the more that we learn about narcissism, the more that they're having to date each other, and that is good. My issue is the person I'm dealing with even gaslights themselves. So what you are saying makes sense to me. I love them with my whole heart, but they can't even love themselves, so how can they love me? Precisely. Precisely. Look, I'm not telling you what to do here. I'm just saying if you're dating someone that is a narcissist, it ain't gonna work out. Not if it's I'm sorry. I'm gonna be more precise and you're not gonna like it. What I'm saying is if you're in a relationship with someone who is a narcissist, like a romantic relationship especially, If you're in a romantic relationship with someone who is a narcissist, it will only work out for as long as you allow yourself to not love yourself or not value yourself. Sorry. And the this is the messed up thing about dealing with a narcissist or dating a narcissist is that it's a cycle of narcissistic abuse. It goes in cycles, right? They have the love bombing. You find them, they say all the right things, they do all the right things, and they really draw you in. You're like, I found my soulmate. No, you found your cellmate. But they draw you in, and then comes the devalue phase, right? And in the devaluing phase is when they realize you're not perfect and you're not fixing what is broken within them, and you have boundaries, and you say things like no, and I disagree, and I don't feel like it, and things of that nature, and you hold them accountable to their messed up behavior or just their bad behaviors, because we all make mistakes, we all do bad things, right? The last time I apologized to my wife was 3 hours ago, right? Like yesterday I told her I would cook for her. I ended up ordering something for her. And then I told her I'm going to cook for you today, and I fell asleep. And she came to bed and she was not too happy. And I just played around. I was like, "Are you pouting or whatever?" And she was like, "We were supposed to spend time together." And I was like, "You're right. I'm so sorry. I apologize. I'm going to make it up to you." And then immediately she forgave. Anyways, I'm going too deep into like my personal life, but the point I was making is um, I forgot the point I was making. The point I was making is yeah. So uh, um, you know, once you start to grow a backbone and you start to love yourself, what's going to happen is you're no longer going to be able to vibrate together, because narcissists are low vibrational and self-serving. A relationship with a narcissist only works when it is a relationship of two people whose main goal are pleasing one person, right? A proper relationship works well when there are two people that understand that I am here to serve you. Both people understand I'm here to serve you. And I'm here to serve you because you deserve it, because you love me and you deserve love, and you understand that I deserve love. And the cycle of narcissism is once they love bomb you and draw you in, they start to devalue you. When you start to say things like no, I disagree, whatever, you start to other them, right? Meaning that you start to display behaviors that confirm to them that you are not an extension of themselves, that you are not their tool, right? Um, that you're human. And then comes the discard, right? And the discard can look anything like them breaking up with you, them taking a break from you, uh, them cheating on you. It can look like them not talking to you. Narcissists love to do that. They will not talk to you. They'll like give you the cold shoulder and really make you feel like we're together in this apartment or in this home, but you're all alone. You know, uh, so they'll discard you. It can be a small discard or a big discard, but it's always I'm putting you on the shelf, right? Which is usually when they start to cheat on you, by the way. And all narcissists cheat to a certain extent, by the way. And then the fourth one is Hoover, where they say all the things they know you want to hear in order to suck you back into the relationship because they want something from you. Right? And then once they get it, you get the love bombing, right? And then once they again realize that you are a human, you get devaluing, and it goes into circles, into circles, into circles. And the thing about narcissistic behaviors, relationships with narcissists, is that it's a constant cycle, but the cycles get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until the point where the devaluing is all you're getting. The discard is all you're getting, and you're getting very little love. And narcissists basically try to reel you into a relationship where they are trying to get as much from you, to extract as much from you, love, care, money, whatever, resources, and give you as little as possible. And they want you to accept it and be grateful for it. And stop complaining about all this abuse I put you through. What's wrong with you? If you loved me, you would just accept me as I am, right? And this is, again, this is what I mean when I say narcissists say the same things we say, but they don't mean what we mean, right? If I tell someone, if you love me, you would accept me as I am, what I'm saying is, you know, um, I am who I am. I'm human. If you love me, take me as I am. But when narcissists say it, they say, no, if you love me, you would accept abuse. I mean, I'm not accepting abuse. A narcissist will say, I'm not accepting abuse. But if you love me, we're not talking about me, we're talking about you. If you love me, you would accept abuse. Yeah, you will only do that if you don't love yourself. Sorry. The quote, okay. Their ego is out of world. They aren't violent in any way. They will do anything physically that fixes a situation, but no emotional work. Well, again, what you have to evaluate is the person you are with a narcissist or not? Because some people are assholes, but they're not narcissists. Some people are able to take accountability for their behaviors, but they are assholes. I caught a live. Good to be here. Hey, Grace Lee Not. Sorry, I think I said that wrong. Deep down is a very damaged child, stuck, never had the change to grow. It is worthless communicating or attempting to communicate with such weak people. You are 1,000% correct. So are you, Miss Pedro. So are you. Deep down, you are dealing with a damaged child who never grew out of their narcissistic defense mechanism. They have dealt with abuse as a child that they were not able to deal with, and they used their narcissism in order to fight that abuse, whether it be physical, mental, or just being spoiled, because spoiling is a child is abusing a child. And they used their narcissism to fight that abuse, and they never grew out of it. And now it's too late. Narcissists, adults cannot change. It's over. I always say, when people ask me, what can I do to help them, become more accountable and have more empathy? I always say, the issue here is that you fail to realize that that time is over. You're not teaching an adult about empathy. You're not teaching an adult like, hey, you're not the only person in this world. If you find yourself trying to teach an adult things that they should have learned as a child, you're dating a child. You probably should stop dating a child, if they're a narcissist. To be honest, if I haven't experienced it myself, I won't understand anything you're saying. Yeah, it's much like gang stalking. Narcissistic abuse is something you can only truly understand if you've been through it. It's unfortunate, but that's what it is. Which is why, though I feel I've given 10 years of my life, 13 years of my life, I gave my entire 20s to someone who really completely used me and abused me. I'm grateful for it because it has taught me the greatest lesson I've ever learned. And it has taught me something that I wouldn't have learned if I hadn't been through it. I only wish that I had learned it sooner, but life is not over, And it has made me into the person that I am today. And if I had not gone through it, I would not be a person that is attractive to my current wife now. And my wife I would not find my wife attractive. I would find her boring if I had not gone through what I had gone through. I would be like, where's the emotional roller coaster? Where's the abuse? This is boring. You just love me all the time? What is this? That's not love. Where's the abuse? Where's the part where you say awful things to me that make me, question my value as a human being? When does that happen? I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. This is making myself laugh. Which is one of the reasons why I don't mind, the isolation of being gang stalked so much, because I think I'm funny. Sorry, sorry about that. They can unlive you if their ego's bruised. Yes, yes, absolutely. They can really hurt you. These are really dangerous people. Like I said, my ex never became physically violent until I said things to her like, no. She was like, do this. I'm like, no. It's like, I'm telling you to do this. And I'm like, no. And then she put her hands on me, and I couldn't believe it. She grabbed my phone, threw it outside in the snow. I was just like, it, anyways. Yeah, it was, all I said was no. She told me to do something, and I said, nope. I mean, I was like, you're gonna talk to me with respect. No, I'm not doing anything you asked me. If you're screaming at me, it's not happening. And if you were to ask her, she would have told you that I'm trying to destroy her, and like I'm rebelling against her, like I'm after her. I have it for her, and all I was doing was saying no. But that's not what she was hearing. What she was hearing is the confirmation of what her ego was telling her, which is, you're worthless. You should unalive yourself. Just because I said no. Because to a narcissist, no, narcissists think good people get what they want. If I can't get what I want, then I'm not a good person. If I'm not a good person, I should unalive myself. That's the extreme thinking that they have, you know? Which is why one day they can really love you because you're serving your purpose and you're quieting the voice of the broken ego. And then the next day they absolutely hate you because they asked you to do something, you said no, and now you've amplified the voice that is telling them to unalive themselves. And you think they're fighting you, but they're not fighting you. They're fighting the ego. You're all up in my situation. This philosophy is amazing. One thing about dealing with narcissists, or like talking to a person that is sort of specialist, or that is highly educated on narcissism, is oftentimes when they explain narcissism, you'll feel like, do you know my partner? Like, do you know, like, how could you describe them so well? It's like, because they have a personality disorder, and all personality disordered people behave in the same manner. In the same manner, like that's just what it is. They grow into it, man. What be that? Let me just block that person real quick. uh yeah, I'm real bad with dyslexia. Like I'm not like trying to be mean. You sent me a message, and I had read everything you had written before, but then you sent me a message, and it was like really long, and I didn't have the courage. So for me, pity. Make it short or send voice notes. If you have kids with them, make sure you protect them, kids with everything in you, because they will manipulate to take them away from you. Yeah, I'm lucky I didn't have kids with my ex, but I have to be honest with you, if I did, and people judge me when I say this, but I mean it. If I did have kids with her, I would have abandoned them. I would have paid child support, of course, but I would not be in their lives, because being in their lives means that I would be in her life, and she would have used them to hurt me, or she would have hurt them to get to me. So I would have just backed out and be like, have it. Thank God we don't have kids. Thank you for answering my question. You're welcome. You're welcome. Subscribe. Support the channel. Subscribe. They're doing this direct conversation. It was my dog, but it was not mine. Property and cause. I argued with my narcissist dad. He wanted back, even if I took better care of it. Yeah, it was probably directed conversation towards you, honestly. Um, it happens. It's real, and they do it to me in the chat all the time, all the time. Um, they do get very angry when we have a different opinion. Man, the amount of times where we would visit people or talk, like visit people and have conversation with them, and I would say something that was a different opinion than hers, and she would just torture me in the car on the way back. And she loved to torture me in the car on the way back because you can't go anywhere, right? But she would torture me, like give me like a real tongue lashing on the way back for disagreeing with her. It was actually pretty. It was shocking. It was very shocking. Um, but yeah, disagreeing with them is enough to set them off real bad. You know, like how dare you be other than me? You are an extension of me. Um, do you think military men are narcissists? Yes. Yes, military men, politicians, law enforcement. Yes, most of them. I would say, you know how, uh, so some feminists will say, like, for example, I'd rather be in the forest with a bear than a man because, betting on a man being kind is like, putting your hand into a snake pit. It's like, yeah, maybe not all of them are gonna bite me, but enough of them are gonna bite me for me to just go like, no thanks. And I think that's wrong. I think most men are good people. I think most people are just good natured. But I think that when it comes to politicians, law enforcement, or military men, the snake pit, the snake pit, uh, I guess theory comes into play because enough of them are toxic that you probably shouldn't even deal with that at all. Let it be somebody else's problem, and that's really the biggest thing when it comes to dealing with narcissists is stop trying to fix people. Stop trying to teach adults lessons they should have learned when they were kids. Let them be somebody else's problem. Let that nigga let that nigga's mama deal with them. You know what I mean? It's like what I'm saying is just like it's not your job to raise adults into being adults. If you are finding yourself teaching lessons that a child should have learned to an adult, let it go. Let let, let it be. Let it be somebody else's problem. You don't have to fix it. Much like their ego is their problem. This is your ego telling you like, I'll be the one to fix him, or it'll be different because it's me, right? Out of the goodness of my heart, I will sacrifice myself to fix this. It's like, no, he has shown you who he is. She has shown you who she is. Let them be someone else's problem. In other words, let them be somebody else's lesson. Learn the lesson, move on, and let somebody else learn the lesson. And let the narcissists date each other. They make such great couples. Don't apologize. I feel you're right. They told me to worry about myself, and they don't like that I'm taking their advice. Hey, I'm glad you're taking it well. When this narc abuse started, whoever it was sent me in the mail that cycle of abuse that was about to happened to me. They love to do stuff like that. The cycle of the narcissistic person. Narcissism, cellmate, not soulmate. Let's get that award-winning podcast and documentary out here ASAP. Oh man, I could talk about narcissism all day. I mean, I know you guys probably don't see my old videos, but I have a very long catalog of videos where I talk about on YouTube where I talk about narcissism, and there is nothing about gang stalking, but it applies. It all applies, which is why I'm able to speak about gang stalking so well, and I understand it because it's just narcissism. It's just organized narcissistic abuse. That's all it is. They dragged my heart through the mud a few times when I didn't realize what was happening. Yeah, it sounds evil to me. Narcissism is the scientific word for evil. That's all it is. Literally. Damn, I've been here for 3 hours. The love bombing is terrible. That's worst feeling. I went through that together, but ignored. Yeah, you ignore some red flags, you're gonna pay for it later. They say this is who I am. You can't tell me what to do. No, I can't tell you what to do, but I can leave. You are so right the way you put it into words. Thank you for so reassuring. Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad. I like that you heard what I said. You said what I said, but you didn't mean what I meant. Yeah. Once you understand that, they say the same words we say, but they don't mean what we mean. It's no longer, these people are no longer a mystery. I'm sorry, I think I deleted someone by accident. Oops, sorry. I hope I didn't block. Okay, I didn't. I just deleted your comment by accident. Sorry. There's a movie about Merlin and his enemy just needed his attention. She basically was gang stalking him and had a whole crowd control, but Merlin just ignored her. Yeah. You know what story is actually about narcissism as well? Alice in Wonderland. You know how the at the end, like the big wizard face says, "Do not pay attention to the man behind the curtain." That's basically a narcissist, like, don't look at the real issue in our relationship. You know, they'll have you chasing your tail. Anyways, narc dynamics are fascinating to me. It's almost always a generational curse. If it's not, it's because they were just given up on. Yeah, I've come to figure out that when it comes to my ex, it was because of something that happened to her mother, and her mother spoiled her child because of what happened to her in childhood. So once I realized that, it was very easy for me to not take it personal, which is like, none of this has anything to do with me. It's fine. I give myself permission to just leave. I gave my entire 20s. Yeah, it's not over. I'm wiser now. Yeah, I'm grateful for the lesson. It's fine. It's all right. Um, it could have been worse. Their parents just gave up. They didn't see it till it was too late and the mess was already made. They just say whatever and throw their hands up. Yep. Very, very, very dangerous people. Please be careful if you have to leave that kind of relationship. Yes. Yes. Be very careful. These are not the type of people that accept rejection well. Leave with care and wisdom. It really takes a toll on us. Yeah. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger, though. That's what they do. They frustrate you big time, yeah. They will always blame you when it's time for accountability. I was the bad guy once I knew the truth. Such pitiful human beings. Dating a narcissist is like being in an M. Night Shyamalan movie, Throughout the whole relationship, you're just very confused. And at the end of the relationship, you figure out that you were the bad guy all along. They have a personality disorder. I understand. No worries. Thank you. Almost a decade ago on the damn. I get you. I get you. For a man, it's not easy, but for a woman, as a man, you kids that much so that they don't pick up that evil behavior. They are verbally abusive. Well, if the kids go to you, then it becomes easier to. Well, not really. Not really. It's much harder for a woman because if the father is in their lives, then co-parenting with a narcissist is a hell I would not wish on my worst enemy. Or maybe I would, actually. But no, I wouldn't. But you know, being able to just throw your hands in the air and go, nope, have it. The check is in the mail. That would have been very good for me. I mean, it would have hurt in the moment, or it would have hurt, just to not be able to have access to my kids. But I have to be honest. I owe you guys honesty. I would have abandoned any children that I had with her immediately. I would have said my goodbyes. Like, see you in 18 years. When you realize that, like, she was the bad guy, come talk to me. Which is pretty much what my dad did. But my dad did pay child support, and he did show up. He was there, actually. My mother kept us away from him. He wanted us. Let them be someone else's headache. Let them be someone else's headache. The mistake I made was believing my love could heal him. There is no cure for evil, and narcissism is the scientific word for evil. Could you tell us what it was that really opened your eyes to this being gang stalking and not just narc abuse? I opened up my Instagram and the first post I saw was stalked by the feds, Lisa Legg, and she said the word she was being gang stalked by the feds, and I was gang stalk. What's gang stalk? Sounds like something I could be going through. And then I googled it and I was like, oh, fuck. And I'm pretty sure that they did it on purpose, you know, to upset me, to like get me upset and like get me to think that I'm being stalked by the feds, which I am, you know, we all are. But instead, I just studied up on it and I was just like, oh, okay, now I know what it is. It's all good. Well, it took me a while to get there, but I did get there. You can articulate your thoughts very well. Thank you. They lack basic human decency, of course. Wizard of Oz, you're right. It's not Alice in Wonderland. It's Wizard of Oz. You're correct, Justice for Chosen. Thank you very much. Most times their mothers are abused and their children seem to be their only option for survival. Yeah, that happens as well, too. I was talking to a friend recently and he basically said narcs hold you to a higher standard, but they are always in learning mode. You can't make mistakes. That's true. You know, narcissists do not forgive mistakes. They don't. They remember everything. They hold it against you forever. And anything that they've ever done to you that was nice, they lord it over your head like, I did this for you, you know? And he's like, yeah, that was 6 years ago. You haven't done anything for me in the past, you know? But they have a really good way of like convincing you, well, you know, if you're gullible, they have a really, or if you're gullible and you love them, they have a really good way of convincing you and manipulating you through emotion. Narcissists don't have empathy, but they understand emotion. They view emotions as sort of like a remote control, like buttons. They go, if I press this button, if I say this about your mom, I get this reaction. If I say this about what you did 6 years ago, I get this reaction. It's just like, it's all about control. They go overtime to get reactions for sure. Yeah, there we go. All right, guys, it's been 3 hours. You know, um, thank you for being here. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for sharing this experience. Thank you for being part of this community. I very much appreciate all of you. If you are not, please subscribe to the channel. You know, it would really help. Like some videos, watch some videos, you know. And I I appreciate you. I appreciate you guys. I truly do. And make sure you like if you haven't done so, like the video, like the live. As always, let's finish with words of encouragement. As always, you deserve grace. You deserve mercy. Love yourself first. Always. I love you guys. I'll see you soon.